Ladies love the skin.
Ow.
Bring it a little bit closer. The good skin, that is. That's why having a proper skincare routine is very important, and you need to feel the teach. The process is so easy, just 4 steps. You got your daily face wash. That's gonna clean your face up nice and right. You got your exfoliator scrub. That's gonna open up your pores. You got your AM moisturizer with the SPM 20, which is gonna protect you from the sun. You also got your PM moisturizer, which is gonna make sure your skin is protected throughout the night. Teej has tons of reviews from dedicated customers across the world. I know I said a lot, but it's okay, because guess what? It comes with an instruction card to explain to you in detail what to do morning and night.
And because Teej is sponsoring this video, they're offering you an amazing deal. Just click the first link in the description to get 30% off your first skincare system and a free gift. Plus, as a member, you'll also get 20% off for life. By the way, both gifts you're choosing from are a $20 value and a complete game changer. A silicone body scrubber or a nail and face grooming kit. Personally, I prefer the silicone body scrubber. I don't like using towels when I travel, so the body scrubber is an excellent way to open up the pores and get the body clean. So don't wait any longer. Click the first link in the description to start your skincare journey today.
So the gun lawmakers in Tennessee passed a measure Tuesday, which was April the 23rd, that would allow school staff to carry concealed handguns on school grounds, sending the bill to the governor a year after a shooter opened fire and killed 6 people at a Nashville school. The Tennessee House cleared the legislation in a 68-28 vote. 4 Republicans joined Democrats in opposing the measure. The state Senate, which is also controlled by the GOP, passed the measure earlier this month. Campbell spoke out and said, arming teachers is not the solution. We know what actually works: universal background checks, red flag laws, safe storage, and assault weapon bans. Shame on extremists in the Tennessee legislature for sending more guns into our classrooms and failing to protect our children. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start with you first, Shan, since I know you're in the education field. How do you feel about that? You ready to go to school strap or what?
Don't give me the gun. No. That's what we have resource officers for. Most schools, at least here in Georgia, have a resource officer who is in the school. We actually at a high school have more than one. So I will allow them to handle that. I would not feel comfortable with teachers having firearm. No. That is a no-go for me. And plus, what will you keep it? Like, would it be somewhere where kids can, steal it? Like, maybe it'll be what a defibrillator is. I don't know what the idea is, but I have to vote it down. I don't think that it's a good look. Just put more resource officers in the building, like we do, and I think it should be fine. You don't have to give a gun to a student. And resource officers, we know what resource officers are. They're just police officers who are for the school. So.
All right, go ahead, Bruce. What are your thoughts about it, sir?
I don't understand how that's going to be useful. I'm just afraid that maybe a student and a teacher get into some confrontation. I've seen videos surface. Y'all can hear me, right?
Yeah.
When teachers are fighting against the students or students attacking a teacher, imagine the same setting, but the teacher has a handgun to defend themselves. So, like, what do? Like, they get beat up, they get assaulted, or are they allowed to protect themselves with a weapon? Or is the weapon specifically for somebody who comes in the school with a weapon? There's some missing pieces that's gonna have to be detailed and understood. Like when can I use my weapon? Am I using it just only to protect the students, or can I now use it to protect my life against students who may want to do some physical harm to me or even kill me? So, I want to see where that goes.
Okay. All right. What about you, Viz? You ready for teachers to come strapped?
I think this is the best decision they made in a while. I think that to not have a firearm in a school, in a soft zone, for anybody to walk in there with one and literally execute everybody in the building, that's silly. Now, as far as with how they'll do it, the only thing that what I did see is that whoever is going to get it, they will have to go through an endless amount of training, psychological backgrounds, all type of stuff. And what will make the most sense is that the firearm will be in the safe. I doubt that they'll have. I doubt that they'll have teachers walking around armed, just in case of something like that happening. Someone attacking them breaking up a fight, whatever the case may be. But the most logical thing would be, let's have this firearm in this part of the school, in this teacher's room, and this locked away. And the only way that you can get access to it is if it's going up. So I think it's the best move that they can make.
Hey, Roof, I see you making them face expressions. What's going on?
I mean, it sounds like it sounds great that they're gonna be logical about it, but are we really trusting people that can't even get these people to stop sleeping with the students? Like a lot of these teachers don't have the right mental capacity. They're here for a paycheck. And a lot of them have a lot of biases against our children. So not until they start shooting our children will we see that this could be a problem, because they are going to always say they feel fear for their lives. And but I don't think it makes sense for a shooter to walk into school and nobody has a gun. Now our kids are not protected. So if they can, if they're going to say you can carry a gun, they're going to say you can carry it on your person. We know that, like, they're going to do it that way. Like when they make a law, it just kind of like in a nonsensical way. Like it's not controlled. It's kind of like a win for one side on the extreme. But if it was like more like, okay, this is what you can do. These are all the regulations that everybody got to follow the same rules. Fine. But we know that some people are going to take it to the extreme and it might go the way we don't want it to go. So that's what has me worried. But yeah, the whole shooter walking through the school and nobody's carrying, it doesn't make sense to me.
All right, go ahead, Trev.
All right, so first thing we have to think about is, why are they doing this, right? What motivates them to do that? And what they explained is that, these school shooters, they're a problem, right? So we have to deal with the problem. The resource officers and all, that's cool and everything, but we saw what happened. What was that, Texas? Where they just cowered up and didn't want to even do nothing? It was useless in that particular instance, right? So I don't think it should be mandatory for all teachers to, but if you elect to, then you should be able to. And, like Ruth was saying, there's no practical way to have it in a safe. It has to be on your person. I don't know who is into like home protection and everything, but listen, mine is always cocked. It's always one in the chamber. I'm ready to go at all times, right? It's on you. It has to be on your person. You can't put it in a safe. People panic. You put biometrics on it. Sometimes they fail. You have to get a code. And that statement, when somebody threw one of the things pointed at you, you can't play those games. You have it on your person. And what they explained was concealed. It has concealed. So it's supposed to be on your person, but just concealed so you can't see it.
And I don't feel like there's anything wrong with normalizing that. We trust these individuals to educate and sometimes indoctrinate our children. Hey, if they're going to serve as protection, why not? It's safer than none of them, right? And to be honest, we just don't have the resources to hire a million security guards that are armed. Those men are expensive. If a teacher is willing to do that with their current salary, most of y'all don't want to pay the taxes to pay the difference for all these security peoples. So we may as well just let them do it. Of course, I do agree that we're going to need extensive training, just like anywhere else. Just pretend in New Jersey, and you'll see a bunch of extensive training before you can get what you're supposed to have with your Second Amendment right, and utilize it responsibly. It's just going to be one of them things, and there's not going to be any situation where they will be allowed to defend themselves against a child. There's no way that anybody is going to allow that. That's not going to be part of the regulation. I can tell you that right now. You can't do that because they're children at the end of the day. So no one's ever going to pass a law that states that. But I will say that they should be able to protect themselves against an assailant by any means. It is what it is.
All right, go ahead, Cookie.
Hey y'all. So my whole thing about it is it's not much any fun when the rabbit got the gun type situation. So I think that I could go either way. And let me tell you why. It's because I work with people that I know for a fact I would not trust with a gun on campus. And then I work with people that I absolutely would trust with a gun on campus. So, but I'm 100% sure that in a situation where it's that somebody trying to set it off in the school, I would want to have my gun on campus. And the fact that they even have an option is good for them. The way law is set up, because the law is passed, it's up to the school districts how they want to implement or roll out um these new laws or these new regulations in their district, considering that they are state funded institutions. It's up to them how they want to implement it. It's not a free for all. It's not the wild west, and it definitely is something that will make somebody think twice before running up in a school with an AR-15.
Yeah, I'll say too. So it has to go. They four different people have to approve them. The principal, the who's over the principal,
Superintendent.
the superintendent, the police chief, and then I want to say like the mayor or something like that. Like all four of these different people is going to have to approve it. I'm pretty sure out of the four, at least the police chief is going to look at the candidate and see, okay, this is a 40-year-old white woman that's 5'2" and 100 pounds. Absolutely not. We're not going to give her a gun. Compared to somebody that looks like they're actually able-bodied to handle it in whatever the situation may arise, knowing that they have a concealed firearm on them. I don't think that they're just going to give it just to anybody. I'm pretty sure that they're going to make sure that the right person has it, and the people that don't need it won't.
Wouldn't that be discrimination if you just said a woman can't have it?
So
I think everybody should have it. It's the ultimate equalizer. You just train them how to use it. There's certain ones that you can have if you got yourself a little 9, a little 38. There's certain things that you can have that's not going to give a lot of recoil that you'll be able to handle. They come in all form factors. Everybody should be able to have it, because if you have that one vulnerable person, that's the weakest link. So that person should be able to protect their classroom too.
Go ahead, Shan.
Someone lie like Cookie. Look, I don't trust everybody in the building with a gun. I don't want just guns floating around in the building. No, we can't do that. But I do think that kind of like we have first responders, there are certain teachers who have been designated as the first responder. If something were to go down, a kid needed to, the defibrillator, or they needed CPR, there are certain people who are designed to help with that, right? So maybe we can have a task of people, because we have retired military people who are teachers, we have so many people with solid backgrounds who could possibly be those people that nobody knows about, but they could be specially trained. Their background could be like a little bit more extensive, and then they maybe can, trust those individuals. But to say to give it to every teacher, not in my school. Maybe. So, but my school, because we got people coming straight out of college who are teaching, and I'm not saying anything's wrong with that. It's just there's so many different levels to this, especially, and then even with, I know somebody had said, and this is taking it kind of off the, but even when it comes to those regular, we just had our drill, right? Even when it comes to that, to me, should be practiced with teachers. I know you want to get the kids involved. This is what you do, but and that may work from elementary school, because especially elementary kids need to learn what to do. But I feel like I'm teaching the perpetrator how to, because it be them.
Yeah.
It's usually a kid at the school.
So this
So
the
now
corner
they
Miss Jackson's class gonna be
Right.
in. Like, what?
So, Shan, I got a question for you. You said that you on Cookie's side as far as everybody not being able to. You don't trust everybody carrying a gun. Would you trust yourself?
I wouldn't want it. I wouldn't want that duty, but I would trust myself. I know I wouldn't harm a child. If I would take it in. I know there would be extra responsibility on my plate, because I would take it very serious. So I would not want it personally, but if I had to, I know I would step to the occasion. Absolutely. But I can't say, I don't know. So educators are good at teaching, right? That to me is a different level of a skill that, can they aim? So many things I would assume would go into carrying a gun. Besides, some people shake, they anxiety. Like, no, I'm sorry. It's
Yeah, but just keep in mind, somebody at your school on that campus may not think y'all might be qualified to carry.
Oh, that's fine. That's why I said only certain people, like if you have a military background, most schools have that teacher who's a retired, he came into education, he or she. Most schools have an ROTC program, so those people have backgrounds. Most people are in the building, they're the right people in the building. You just have to find out who they are. Mostly every school, elementary on up, has a person, a few people in the building who may fit a great, they may have the criteria needed to carry on that position if it were, a thing. But I would not just say everybody.
I got you. Ruth, I see your hand. Let me get to Nelson first, and then get right back to you. Go ahead, Nelson. What are your thoughts about this?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to do anything. I don't think it's a good idea. I think most schools already have school resource officers, so I'm cool with having somebody that's already been trained that kind of knows how to handle themselves. But most schools need to update their lockdown protocols, and that includes updating the types of doors that they have, how the locks operate, so that way when something does happen and that alarm sounds that tells you what kind of a drill you're in, students know and teachers know to run for the first room and get in there. When you look at a lot of these schools and they do their active shooter drills, they literally just walk through it. You still see people skipping down the hallways, going to the bathroom. Like, it's not taken seriously. So when the real thing happens, nobody knows what to do. So I think we need to take a look at updating protocols first, and then making sure that they got the type of doors that lock securely to where you can't, shoot the lock off or do something or be able to kick the door in. Take those simple steps first before telling the teacher that they got to take, their matters into their own hands. And then all it's going to take is that one teacher that feels like there's a threat and goes and does something. All it's going to take is shoot a black kid or something like that. And, now it's going to be a narrative is going to start getting put out there. Like, it just takes that one person that messes things up. So I don't agree with it.
All right, go ahead, Ruth.
So yeah, I think more importantly, like, you wouldn't the army wouldn't go in with just everybody have a gun. They would have a plan, strategy, drills. So somebody qualified that is experienced and all this should have a certain kind of protocol to tighten it up, and people should know what's going on. So I do agree. The plan is more important than everybody having a gun because people really have mental health issues. Like I don't know if you notice, like people don't be right in the head sometimes. They still could do their job and teach, but like you said, like if basically if something happens, they might start hurting innocent people. They might not know how to react. Everybody might look like the enemy to them. So you just really never know. And the other thing is, if you start bringing guns in for the teachers, the kids that already carry guns and sneaking them in already, they're gonna feel like it's okay as well. So that's another thing we have to consider. So they'll feel like it's fine too. So are you gonna take out the detectors for those who have it, or put them in, or like how's that going to work? So it just they just have to be more prepared for these things.
Uh, oh, the argument of that these teachers, what if a teacher loses it or something like that? I think that's not even a real argument. Anybody, for the most part, depending on what state you in, you can go and purchase a firearm. If you don't have a metal detector at your school, you can literally take your firearm to school every single day and nobody will know. If a teacher was to go AWOL, if this was already in them and they have a firearm, it would have happened already. The fact that they passed a law to protect our children from the most vulnerable position that they can be in, and our argument is, well, what if the teacher goes crazy? We That hasn't happened. So you know what I'm saying? So
It's not
the
about when they
argument,
go crazy. It's about like when you're stressed in a high stress situation, you're going to make mistakes because you're not trained for it. I'm
I
not
agree.
I'm not saying you shouldn't have. I did say you should have them, but people have to be trained. The setting has to be real. People have to take it seriously. If they're not going to take it seriously, innocent kids are going to get hurt. And if that's the risk we saying we want to take because we want to make sure everybody's okay, then that's fine. But we got to know what comes with these things. Every action has a reaction, and we have to
Absolutely.
understand what's going to happen.
I
Well,
absolutely agree with you. But
May I?
real quick, but the thing is that they're not just going to give it they're not just going to allow any and everybody to do it. Realistically, if it has to get approved by 4 different people, they're not just going to allow somebody that doesn't have a the instant response, much rather than a flight response. They're not going to give that person, you know what I'm saying, the opportunity to do that. So
I'm glad you feel so positive about our law enforcement. I feel the opposite. So go ahead.
well, no, I agree. I mean, the same administration that's against it, they just gave $96 billion to other countries, much rather than investing that into our schools to make it safer. So I agree with you, but we got to do something. You know what I'm saying? What we've been doing hasn't been working. So what do you do next?
I agree with Cookie.
Um, I've been in education 11 years now, and I remember the day that a certain high school, I'll say it because I can't get in trouble. It's all over the news. It was Santa Fe High School got had a school shooting and a bunch of kids were killed, and there was a message going floating around on social media saying that my daughter's high school was next. So like they had already planted kids there. So what the moral to my story is these children, quote unquote, have well thought out, pre-planned attacks, right? And there's nothing that a teacher stuffing kids in a corner telling kids to be quiet when the kids know exactly where everybody's going to be at what time, or to pull the fire alarm so everybody's in the hallway exiting the building, or to do it while everybody's at lunch because they know that everybody's in a wide open space. the kids aren't stupid either. So we're not going to sit here and act like people aren't getting slaughtered. People's children aren't getting slaughtered. Right now, my golf clubs are in my classroom because I cannot bring a physical gun to work. And to have that mindset is scary. I haven't yet to knock a kid over the head with a golf club because I got upset or lost it. So I guess what I'm trying to say is weaponizing, having a gun is serious, and weaponizing it, like everybody's just like, oh my God. I mean, maybe a non-gun owner will be like, but I mean, like if you're a gun owner anyway, this is something that you're used to. So I feel like if you should already have owned a gun, and then maybe, like I said, they'll implement it some kind of way for it to be safe. But I don't think it's a horrible idea. But I also think it is very important for these groups to come together and come up with a rollout plan if they do adopt the law, because it is not being forced upon a school district. Period. It's not.
All right, go ahead, Shan.
This reminded me, like, I think I may have mentioned this on a She Critique 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fridays. I think I remember telling She Critique last year. I had a kid in my classroom, y'all, from the entire school year. He had a loaded gun in my class the entire time.
What?
But fortunately, he had it because he was doing some stuff, you know what I mean? But just imagine this kid was bringing a loaded gun to class every single day. And so they finally went and tracked him. Like when they found the gun, they went and tracked, and they noticed that he had it every single day. And so now that I think about it, just imagine if something would have gone wrong. And I didn't even know this kid in class. I would have been in a vulnerable place because I'm in the classroom with him, and so are the other kids in the class. So I can get, it's just one of those things, like, you just pray it never happens to you, and it never happens to your kids. And do I think that teachers should have guns? I don't, but if it continues to go the way that it's going, because Cookie made a good point. You're right. Most of these kids know that lunchtime is the time. No, we don't want to talk about that on air. But there are times that kids if their kids are in the school, they know the times that would be the best times for these things to happen. So I feel like, we should still go through these protocols with these kids, but we should also do things as teachers outside without the kids being there, a backup plan that maybe the kids don't know anything about.
Yep.
And that way they won't even be a part of, because we can sit here and say, lock the doors, but guess what? You're going to have a knucklehead go open the door. They'll see somebody at the door. We tell them, don't touch the doors and let them be buzzed in. But you always got one who walking in the hallway, open the door for somebody knocking at the door. And you're like, are you serious? It's always.
All right, let me go ahead and I want to get Marcus' take on it. Marcus, what's going on, brother? What are your thoughts about them Tennessee lawmakers? They passed a bill to allow teachers to carry guns. What are your thoughts? You're on mute, just so you know.
Yeah, I'm all for it. If I trust these people to watch my kids throughout the day, and they got the possibility of causing harm on a regular, then trust them to try and protect them too. Like, maybe not everybody is capable of handling a gun, but I would think somebody would get training, and the people who are already capable would be able to go at their move even easier. I think it's like nuclear deterrence. Like, it's a reason that people don't go in gun ranges and go for mass shootings. It's a deterrent when you know there's somebody there that has equal firepower to you. It's only dangerous when no one has a gun but the person that's trying to attack them. You know what I'm saying? They go to churches, they go to grocery stores, they go to gun-free zones where everybody lacking. They're not going in the middle of a an O block. They're not going on 16th home, and they're not going in areas where they know it's cracking at just to shoot up unless you're into it with those people. And that's a totally different thing than just random acts of violence where you're going and just picking random targets it's soft targets is what they call. You know, and you can just keep going with your move till you run out of bullets. That's the only thing gonna stop you till you run out of bullets. I prefer them at least have to be on a swivel, at least have to waste half a clip trying to get the person shooting at them, as opposed to just, that's just my thoughts on it though.
There's such a thing as high stress training, right? So it pretty much simulates a real scenario, right? And just like they practice the drills and everything, and I don't think that the children necessarily should be involved in that part of it, but the people who are going to be handling the firearms should absolutely be put through high stress training, right? Now, just because I am a 2A advocate doesn't mean that I don't think people should get trained. I'm very much for training. I think people should absolutely be educated, familiarized, and thoroughly trained on firearms.
Yes,
Once
sir.
people usually are, they tend to make way less mistakes. They are more calm while handling a firearm and know what to do and what not to do with that firearm, and they understand the responsibility of it. So that's something that they would have to absolutely incorporate. And of course, there's no way on earth they should be able to use that firearm against an unarmed individual, especially the children. So that should be like the first rule. If they are not an assailant, then you cannot use that firearm against somebody. If somebody has a weapon on you, it is what it is.
But that's like teachers, grown men or women going around just sliding kids. Like, how often do you really just see teachers just beating up kids? I mean, like, just for no reason. If they throwing hands, they throwing hands. The only time I've seen a gun pulled in a situation like that, it was about a student, and the teacher was unarmed. So you know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. Maybe it's
No,
because
I'm off that,
I'm a
but that's
gun
just
owner.
that just be the excuse that everybody uses. You know what I'm saying? So everyone always says, "Well, what if they lose it, or what if they use it on the kids?" And that's a lot that we hear. That's why I would say, listen, that should be the number one rule, right? That's going to have to be something that's implemented so they understand that this is not going to be acceptable. You will be charged if you use it and they are unarmed. It is what it is.
Put
So
under
that's why I would say that.
So the reason why somebody would say that is because a lot of people don't own a gun because they know that a lot of the gun, the violence is the kids shooting themselves in the house. So they don't keep a gun around because they're trying to prevent things like that. Most people get hurt by their own gun. So by that logic, some people don't want to be bothered with it. And it's not fair for the teachers to be going to school unarmed, and these kids have guns. They really do. They're in gangs. They carry, they have stuff on them, and the teachers, it's kind of like a power, like a flip, like how we saying the women got all the power with the law now and divorce. It's kind of like the
power
teachers are
back.
powerless. And so we have to think about the teachers as well, and the ones that are good, they're going to protect the classroom, and the other ones that something happened, they might get away with something, but we have to like really balance it. If it's out of control like this, we got to be able to get the teachers the protection, but they got to get the training because they just have to.
And like Trav said, I'm a 2A advocate as well. Most people that carry responsibly, you wouldn't even know that they have a firearm on them unless they're one of those gun nuts where they got, what I'm saying, the shirt, the hat, the bumper sticker on their car. You know what I'm saying? Those are the obvious. But there's a lot of people that is underneath the radar that carry every single day, and you wouldn't even know it. So it's like one of those situations of like, man, at what point do we look at the obvious and say we have to protect our children? And the only way that we can protect our children is by arming teachers that's going to be in the school, because everybody knows all across the country that schools are a soft target. and there's probably only one person in the school with a firearm. So it's easy pickings. They sitting ducks. So now we're going to risk the entire school being wiped out compared to having a firearm on the property and maybe two, lives that's lost. So
yeah. So we're gonna go to Marcus, then we're gonna transition to the next topic. Go ahead, Marcus.
So if you think back to high school, right? I do remember kids getting bullied. I do remember there were like sects, SECTS.
What?
People, sect. Why can't I say the word? Sects. TS of people who kind of was outcast or whatever, right? And I could easily see if somebody was being a jerk to them, like one of them goth kids, going the other way with something. And the teachers ain't had no guns. We wasn't at that time. I think my freshman year, nobody had no guns that I knew of at that school. They could have did whatever they wanted. We had a kid who, due to bullying, ended up taking his own life. Rest in peace to him. He jumped in front of the on the train tracks on the L, Chicago. But what if he chose to do it a different way? What if he chose to say, you know what? I'm gonna get my lick back. I tried to treat him with respect. I be trying to treat everybody with respect, but he might have got me too. You know what I mean? Because if I felt like the world was against me and everybody was just bullying me and I was going out, I'm not gonna say I probably wouldn't go out by myself. I'm not even gonna lie. I'd be petty like that if I was one of them kids. So that's why I'm saying, like, I understand it. I see how bad things could get with people, and I would like to be prepared for anything. But I'm also a prepper. Like I prep for like doomsday disasters and stuff. So I think of the worst case scenario. Even though I stay extremely optimistic, it's because I'll be prepared for anything to happen. I'm like, oh, I got this. I know what to do. I've been working on this. So
I know we moving to something really. If they did like bully prevention, don't you think a lot of these situations could be prevented?
To be honest, it wouldn't have worked because we didn't care about that stuff. Like they had like homeroom, what is it called? The period where division. They do like emotional training and all that stuff. Didn't nobody pay attention to that?
Mm-hmm.
Girl, that really don't work.
Kids gonna
because
be
it's
kids.
impersonal. It's impersonal. When we're talking about bullying prevention, most people think about these little assemblies and things like that. We need to invest in accurate assessment. I've talked to kids inside of schools that after listening to them for 5 minutes, I knew, all right, he's going to do something if he had the opportunity. Some of them openly talk about the guns they have and know how to do crazy things like replacing triggers and things like that. Like they can get in depth. And when you talk about kids and bullying, it goes so much deeper than, oh, well, why don't you tell a teacher, tell your principal? No, you need to get deep into their psychology to understand what's going on with them, to even begin to scratch the surface of how to help them. So the problem is we end up investing in things. We end up investing in interventions and the newest type of bullying prevention when nothing deals with the direct personal experience of each person and understanding who they are.
And bullying is so much worse now. Like, imagine your worst moment getting recorded and then replayed. At least we had to hear about what happened. Man, you got knocked out yesterday. You ain't you got knocked out remix with AI. And then they keep playing it and create memes off of you and all this extra stuff. For real.
All right, Shan, real quick. We got to move on real quick.
Oh, okay. So I was trying to make it quick. But anyway, I
Statement,
do think
statement,
that,
not a question, right?
huh?
It's a statement, not a question, right?
It's a statement.
Okay.
I do think that bullying, it's so funny. I had this conversation with my students today. We had a kid that come to the door. They were laughing at him. And I thought to myself, why are you laughing? If your goal is to break down somebody, then don't even talk to that person. You should always enter somebody's life to build them up. And I say all that to say, we gotta remember Columbine, when those guys went into that school, there was one kid who was nice to these guys and they actually let him walk. So people do remember how you treat them. And unfortunately, you never know if that's that one incident that's going to throw them over the edge. The same thing happened with the Parkland. I think it's called Parkland. If you watch that trial, there was a teacher. She went through elementary school into high school with the kid who did the shooting. She saw him with the gun in his hand. He walked right past her. You know why? Because she was good to him. Okay? He couldn't kill a person who was good to him. So I do think that we do need to talk to kids and just say, hey, I know it's all fun and games, but you just never know. People, sometimes you just don't know when somebody is to that point. I lost a student just 2 months ago from suicide. We saved a kid maybe 2 years ago in the bathroom. She tried to hang herself with her honor cord. So this stuff happens a lot. You will be amazed at how often these things happen. You're right, Marcus. You just never know how it could have involved everybody. It may not have been just them focusing on themselves. So I do think that we need to do a better job at pinpointing who these people are and getting them some help. And also talking to kids to make sure that they are not taunting and, pushing those kids over the edge and they're already in a bad mental place. So that's all I want to say.
I appreciate that. Guys, you're tuning in. Welcome to Lapeef Let's Talk. Hit the like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Go ahead and share the stream, man. We just starting to cook. Let's go ahead and get into our next topic. I don't know if you guys seen the Shannon Sharpe and Amanda Seales interview. Anybody seen it? Okay. I got a series of clips that I'm going to play, man. We're going to go ahead and react to it. I think some of these topics and discussions do relate to what we're going through in our own very life. So I'm going to go ahead and play this first clip. And this is Amanda Seales left speechless after Shannon Sharpe seemingly brushes off children being racist towards her as a kid.
Situation at Disney, I was there as the only black girl.
Okay.
And there was a whole crew. It's like 12 of us. And so I was called an N-word right there while I was there. And I was also bullied while I was there because I was told that you're only here because you're black. You can't really dance. You're just here because you're black. So don't get any ideas. So that's what I'm being told by the other children. Does that suffice as racist to you, or would you want to call it something else? Is that just kids being mean?
Yeah, the kids. So let me ask you a question. As a child, you never said anything derogatory? You was just this model citizen as a child? I mean, children. No, we're talking children, not functioning adults. Now, if you told me the adults, parents were telling you this, or the execs or people that are in charge of Disney are telling you this, I could agree with it. But at 89, you're probably 8, 9 years of age. Maybe younger.
So you have no problem with the children that were cursing out Ruby Bridges and the Little Rock Nine? You think do you think that was just them being kids?
Two things can be true. Kids can be kids and not function as an adult, and things can be wrong. And sometimes when kids say things, they're repeating what they heard their parents say. They don't know it's wrong.
So what about the children who are receiving it that know it's wrong? Does that not matter?
Yes.
So if I'm 10 and I'm receiving that treatment and I know it's wrong, does it make my experience of it less?
It doesn't make it any less valid. No.
So that's what we're here to talk about. My experience.
Yes.
So my experience is that I experienced that and it was difficult. So that's the valid part of this. I'm not here to protect those people because it's irrelevant.
I'll also ask that, because if I don't see things exactly as you see them,
I don't expect you to.
Don't take it as being combative. You see things one way, I might see it a different way. That doesn't mean I'm being combative.
I would say it's combative when there's a undermining of how someone sees something.
But why are you trying to undermine how I see it?
Because it's my experience.
Okay, well, I'm telling you,
I don't know my experience.
But I'm saying, see, you take it as if I don't agree with you, I'm being combative.
No, I don't. I take it as if I have an experience and you're telling me that my experience isn't what it is.
No,
You're telling me that my thinking somebody is racist who I was in a classroom with for a year that you have never met. You are emitting doubt upon that because of your own experiences.
No, I was talking about the teacher and you.
Right.
And I said,
in your
I believe based on my
experience,
and a lot of people, kids, correct an adult,
Right.
no matter what society it is frowned upon. That's what I was saying.
Okay.
You took it as that I'm trying to minimize your experience and say, well, I'm defending her when I wasn't.
Okay. I think there's something worth saying that could come off that way, and it should be something to consider.
Well, see, again, you're going to consider it your way because you see things, like you said, you see things through your prism. Okay.
I think it's fascinating to watch you accuse me of doing the thing that you're doing.
No,
it's fascinating.
I think it's
fascinating.
This is your interview, so I won't interject what I think. But anyway, your mom is white.
My mother is not white.
Is your
Why
mom?
do people keep saying my mother is white?
She's West Indian, so
she is a black woman from Grenada, which is a black island.
She married a white man.
No, she did not.
You say you started doing white things?
My aunt married a white man. That's why
Nelson,
crazy.
I know you've talking with a lot of different people. I want to start off with you first. What are your thoughts when you look at that? What did you notice?
This is exactly why people need to get trained in identifying narcissistic traits. If Shannon Sharpe would have had any kind of knowledge of what was going on, he was clearly being gaslit. Things that he didn't say or didn't even mean to say, she made inferences based off of that. If you put Amanda Seales, Jada Pinkett, Miko Grimes, and I'm forgetting the other name that I had, put them inside of a room and just let them, like, blindfold them and just let them talk, you would not be able to tell the difference between any of them. It's all the same. It is creating themselves as victims. That's why Amanda Seales has a hard time getting a lot of work and working with people, because she always finds a situation and makes it a whole lot more dramatic than what it is. The same time when she said that she went to a party and she couldn't get in because the white hostess said that she was not allowed to get into this black event. She twists these stories and manipulates the topics to fit her victim narrative. These are all just narcissistic traits. I wish people would really see how these things play out in people, because she is a master at it. She is a master manipulator. She's a master at, even if you looked at her, watch her body language, and you can notice with Shannon Sharpe, he started getting uncomfortable. He started stuttering. He started thinking about his words because he was being gaslit. He was replaying his own words in his mind and was like, wait a minute, no, I didn't say that. I didn't say it like that. That's what they do. They gaslight you like that. So she should have never been on that interview to begin with. He's just another victim of a narcissist.
All right. Go ahead, Darwin.
I mean, all I saw was somebody with limited information, maybe a limited understanding of a person and their experiences. And on the other side, I saw someone who was really triggered and offended whenever their experiences wasn't appreciated on the same level they would appreciate it on. I mean, that's all I see that in conversations on the panel sometimes when we talk about stuff and then we say what's on our mind or what's brutally true, and a lot of people don't want to accept it. I'm very interested to see where the rest of that interview went, so I'm gonna take it upon myself to watch the rest of it, because it sounded like I almost felt like they were going to come to a point where they were just going to shut the interview down. That's what I felt Shannon was feeling like that. You know what? That's when I think that's when he said, you know what, this is your interview. I'm not going to interrupt. I think at that point he was almost like ready to pull the plug on the interview, because it really wasn't going nowhere as far as establishing a base of understanding where they can talk without being combative towards one another. But I understand what Amanda Seales was saying about her experience. She kind of felt like it was discounted. But I mean, that's what happens whenever you open yourself up and you give people information about your experiences. They reserve the right to have their own opinion about it or see it through their own lens, and you just got to be able to deal with it or don't share it.
Go ahead, Ruth.
So what you said about Amanda was right. She is a narcissist. But the other part is she understands racism on another level, right? A lot of people can't really explain it, like how, like what's going on, how, like people like, well, explain it. Tell me what racism looks like, right? But what it is now in 2024 is people just undermining, like, oh, that didn't really happen. People are not racist anymore. Like that's how it's like kind of blending in. It's like very subtle. You can't see it. So, and overall, we're all being gaslit on that side. But for him to interject and say, well, no, he was right and he was wrong at the same time, to tell her this is what you could have been experiencing. He didn't know those people, that's true. But he had a point too. Like these kids, they don't know, they just repeating what their parents told them. But at the same time, when you 8 and 9 and 10 and you're being mean, you know what you're saying. And you know how you feeling. You don't know where it came from, but you have some type of response. I have an 11-year-old. She knows exactly what she's doing, how she roasting people, and so they know what they're doing. So they don't say that they don't. Oh, the kids didn't know. Their parents told them. They just parroting it, because when they get older, they act the same way. They do the same things. They don't let it go. That's how they see the world. So, and if Amanda experienced that, she should have got a little grace for that. But when somebody introduces new information to you, you should be open. So she was closed-minded, got smart, got snappy. And so it was just like two people just that had totally different views that could not come together and come to a meeting of the mind.
Okay. Go ahead, Viz.
I'm blown away every time I hear somebody talk like that. Kids are gonna be kids. Kids gonna talk about you. They're gonna bully you. If I'm pretty sure everybody on this panel, when they were younger, they got talked about. When I was growing up, it was we was talking about your mama. Your mama's so fat, she got on the scale and it said to be continued. Your mama's so fat, your mama's so skinny, she hula hooped in a Cheerio. You know what I'm saying? And we was kids. Life happens.
On your mama's outside, she dropped the dime, picked up 2 nickels.
Come on, man. Your mama's so black when I can't see when she outside at night, I only see her eyeballs.
Or your mama's so stupid, I put a scratch and sniff stick under the pool and she drowned.
Come on, man. That's what we went through as kids. That made us tough. That gave you a tough skin to get through life. Life not sweet. You complaining about something that happened when you was a kid, a little white girl called you a nigga. So what, man? You on TV, you on the platform, you talking to Shay. So what? How did that affect you that it hurt you so much? And the thing is that this is now translating over into adults. And that's why our culture is so soft now. Because of that. So what?
You sound like a dad. You sound like a dad, and I don't know if she was raised with her dad, but you would have been good as her dad.
It's crazy, man. Like this victim mindset is destroying our culture. And the fact that these people are able to get on platforms and push it out makes it even worse. So how can we come out of this whole rut that we in if everybody want to play victim? So what, bro? Grow up. Move on. You gonna linger on this? And I don't know who she is. I'm sure she got kids. So now her kids and her daughters, I don't know if she a baby mama, the daddy ain't around. They all gonna do the same shit. So this is, man, that shit is mind-boggling to me, that adults do that and they feed into it. Grow up, man. Life is tough. Life happens. You know what I'm saying? You go through whatever experience and you move on. That's all you can do.
All right. Go ahead, Cookie.
I agree with everything Viz said, except for the part where growing up, because me and my players have this thing where I'm locking up my hair and I'm doing it myself, and half of my hair is locked. That's why I was in a bun, and some of it's not. And they're like, "Coach, why you got half up, half down? Why you got your twist?" And they be, I was like, "Well, why your jump shot broke? We could go back to the '90s if you want to,
Come on,
because
man.
this is all we used to do. You
Come on,
know,
man.
why your Jordans fake? Like, I will send you back to your parents with a bullying a bullying contract for me. So I don't understand. I don't even know who that chick is. First of all, her voice is completely annoying. Um it was just like wham wham wham, me, and I like my dad would have been like, shut up. Because to some form, I was bullied when I was younger because I was quiet. Imagine that. Imagine like you just being quiet and kids coming poking on you, pushing on you. So what? Leave me, you know what I'm saying? I mean, did I get in trouble for, putting my hands on some children? Yeah. But it just sounded like she was a wimp. And now she was a wimp, and now she mad that she wimped out now that she has some kind of power now, and now she want to talk about everybody that ever did her wrong. Like, we'd all be up here all day if that was the case. You know what I'm saying? And post Shannon, he was like, "You just not even trying to understand what I'm talking about, huh?" She was not trying to see it his way. Kids can be cruel. I've seen it. She better go to a roasting class or something. I don't know. She doomed if if that's bothering her.
So crazy.
You know, I feel embarrassed asking this, but what is she known for?
You said what is she what?
What is she known for? Like,
Getting into drama. Oh, I think she was on The View for a while, or
is
one of
this
those,
is this the one that got
daytime
taken
shows.
off the View and she started losing money and start
Yeah,
having these
my thing is like,
outbreaks
who
on
is
social
she?
media?
I'm with Darwin. I don't know who she is. Who is she?
So I just looked her up. Amanda Seals, formerly known by the stage name Amanda Diva, is an American actress. From 2017 to 2021, she starred in HBO comedy series Insecure. In 2019, HBO released her first stand-up comedy special, I Be Knowing.
Was she a
Oh.
main actor in Insecure?
Yeah, I was finna say I don't remember seeing her.
She began.
She was one of the friends. She was a decent lead.
Oh yeah, I remember her. She wasn't that important.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Like it says, how did she get famous? She began her career journey on the now cult famous Nickelodeon sitcom My Brother and Me in 1994 in the role of Dione or whatever the name is. Later, becoming widely known to the public as a VJ, Amanda Dive, the face of hip hop on MTV2 Sucker Free Sundays.
That's crazy. The only thing I know her for is complaining on social media. I think that got more hits than her entire career, maybe.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna add some more context. So this was you guys can still feel free to answer and get your take on the video, but I'm just gonna play this clip because Shannon, he went on his show with Gilbert and Ocho, and this is what he had to say.
No, I think sometimes, she thinks everybody's out to get her. And so until she's comfortable with you, she's going to keep that guard up. Mm-hmm. She's going to keep the guard up. Because I asked her for a hug earlier. She's like, nah, I don't hug. I asked her, I said, give me some doubt. She ain't want to give me no doubt. But once I told her, I said, Amanda, this is a safe space. You can tell your story.
Right.
She saw it back. She paused. She's like, can I have a hug? And then she was cool. I think a lot of things that, and people like,
I was trying to invalidate her experience. No, I wasn't. It's the same thing I told Monique when Monique said, I was trying to get this role, and Oprah told me to go blah, blah, blah for,
right.
And she ended up getting the role. I said, well, Monique, did you ever think that they were looking for a black heavyset woman and you two were probably the only two in Hollywood? And she said, oh, okay, that makes sense. Right. And so when she said the white lady had her teacher, I said, Amanda, did it ever cross your mind that, I don't know where you from, but where I grew up, Ocho, kids never corrected a parent or an adult.
Corrected?
Yes. And that's what I said. I said, Amanda, did you think maybe because you were a child, even though you were right, the mere fact that a child corrected an adult. Now, maybe in today's time, that's fine. Maybe where in some places you grew up. But I don't ever remember being in a situation, a child couldn't even interrupt an adult conversation. You couldn't pull on your parents or your grandparents' leg and say, hey. I'm like, huh? No. So that's what I was saying. I said, maybe, Amanda, it wasn't racism. Maybe it was the fact that a child was correcting an adult. But that was her experience. That's what, and like I said, I mean, that's how she felt about it. But I enjoyed the interview.
All right.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
I remember her now. She was the one that got pregnant and had the baby, right? On the show. Yeah.
Baby. Look, so why did it say that her teacher was the one doing it? Did I thought it was a girl. Her teacher called her a nigga when she was 9?
She said her teacher, when the teacher found out that it was another student, the teacher said, okay, well, both of y'all need to get in trouble.
Oh. Yeah,
but that's still even what Shannon just said, that was still blatant manipulation. Like you could see how he first started talking to her. He talked about how she was standoffish at first, and then he said something to make her feel comfortable. That's manipulation. She just made him feel like he was special now because now she's all of a sudden comfortable and opening up to him. So that whole interview after that, he's going to watch what he says because he wants to still feel special in her eyes. So it's just like high level manipulation.
It's giving sociopath.
Well, I mean, when you think about narcissists, it's close to sociopaths. Sociopaths are antisocial personality disorders. So that has to do with criminality and violence, but the other personality traits are still there in a lot of them. So the arrogance, the envy in others, the interpersonal manipulation, the arrogant, haughty behaviors, the grandiosity, those things are present in all of those different personality disorders.
She wow. Did you watch her?
Let me go ahead and get Trev in there. Go ahead.
So I'm gonna talk a little bit about the first part of it. I'm with Viz on this one. I think that bullying builds character, right? So I've experienced bullying in nearly every fashion, right? Whether it was, violent. So, I built a fight club. We all learned how to scrap. Anybody who was getting bullied, we all learned how to scrap and was able to take care of business. I've been in the cafeteria, right? And the entire period, you got 3 people just going at you with nothing but roast. Way worse than anybody mentioned earlier. Stuff that I won't even say on YouTube. Crazy stuff, right? Like for real. So, but it helps you with conflict resolution a bit. You learn how to deal with things. And again, I do think it goes along with parenting as well, right? So if you just raised by a single parent and you don't really have any conflict resolution skills, it could be damaging. And that's when you start seeing those instances that we were talking about even earlier. Right. Amanda Seales, yeah, she's kind of a weirdo to me. But what I would say is that I think we all sleeping on Shannon Sharpe. He's a lot more crafty than what we're giving him credit for. He knows what type of individual he was dealing with, right? He's pretty experienced and savvy. Like I watched what he did with the whole Cat Williams thing, and just to let that go, no pushback and all that. He wanted it to go that way. He knows how to grab viral clips, and we're like not giving him credit for that. He knows, like, she's doing her bit of gaslighting, but I'm watching how he's going too, and he could have easily mitigated that, right? And a lot of this stuff can be easily avoided with a pre-interview. When you have a pre-interview, you can easily get comfortable. You can say what your yeses and nos are, what you're comfortable talking about, and he would have got a lot more of those facts straight. So I think he really wanted it to go that way because it's obviously going to get more hits when you have that type of situation. He got viral moments. He got people reposting, and he understands the game. He understands the business, and I think we're missing out on that. I think he really expected it to go that way, and we're just like not really looking at it from that angle.
All right, go ahead, Marcus.
I got another question. If I don't know if any of y'all got kids, but if your kid come home and tell you that they got called a nigga at school by a white kid in the class, what's your response gonna be?
How old?
9, same age.
Just words.
You say what?
Does the age matter really?
Just words. We cannot be going on going crazy because somebody called us a word. It's just words. And do you want to talk to the teacher? Sure, you can go that route. But it's just words. Because something else is gonna happen to that kid for whatever they did to you. That's just how I believe. They put it out there, they're gonna get it back. So it's just words.
I mean, if it was me, if it was me, I'm gonna go to the school and I'm gonna figure out who this child is, and I'm gonna call for a meeting with those parents.
That's right too. That's why I disagree with Trev when he said bullying builds character. I think bullying tests character. Your parents build your character, so you gauge your response based on what your parents taught you about, how to deal with conflict, and it helps you build resilience. I don't see any benefits to, being called something or learning how to roast back or anything like that. Like we learn from our parents. We got so many parents that are absent from the home, so we don't know how to deal with conflict. We don't know how to deal with people picking on us. So we resort to the things that we see going on around us. We fight. We roast back. Like, shoot up schools. Like, we don't have resilience.
Black people not shooting up schools though. We didn't start seeing that until recently.
Well, I'm not basing that off race. I'm basing that off of kids.
Right.
I don't think it matters what age you is. If you say the N-word, if you say anything disrespectful to somebody, I don't think it matters what age they are. And I don't think I wouldn't just tell my son that, or my daughters, that being called the N-word is just words. It's got the N-word is a different word. You know what I'm saying? It traces back to, I try not to talk about this kind of stuff. But I most definitely wouldn't tell them it's just words. You know what I'm saying? I would most definitely have them report it. Take down the name of the student who said this and report it. I mean, I don't know what their the school's procedures or standard operations or whatever whenever they deal with racial slurs or anything like that. But I'm pretty sure they got some kind of policy in the schools, especially a word like that, on how to deal with students who openly say those things to other students. So I would most definitely tell them to report it. I mean, I don't know about going up to the school and looking for the parents and all that stuff, but I mean, if that's the way you want to handle it, JR, I'm not knocking it. I just I don't know how far. I don't know if that's going to be successful. Hey, your son called my daughter the N-word. Okay, we'll let him know not to ever do it again. All right. See you at the baseball game. Or are you trying to put the left and right on? I don't know if you got ulterior motives on that.
But I think that's why the age does matter. If the kid is 9, 10, 8 or something, then yeah, all right, let's go up to the school, have a talk with the parents, whatever. If they in high school, then it's like, okay, well, what you do? You know what I'm saying?
Same thing. Be unwavering.
What'd you say?
I would
What you do, like, because you asking that for a real specific question. What you do for?
No, I'm saying I would ask my child, like, okay, well, what did you do in response to that? You know what I'm saying? Did you tell a teacher? Did you confront them? Did you walk away? You know what I'm saying? That's I feel like if you're in high school, that I don't have to get involved with that, because guess what? You're going to experience that more often. And once you get out into the real world, somebody on the street call you a nigga, what you gonna do? You gonna call the police? You gonna fight them? You know what I'm saying? It's
hold on, wait. So are we talking about black people calling black people nigga, or are we talking about white people calling black people nigger?
ER, white person.
Because I don't think that's something. Me personally, let me make this statement, because Lord forbid somebody say, "Well, no, they do that all down the street all day." I don't walk out on the street on a daily basis and hear the exchange from a white person to a black person on a norm, somebody calling them the N-word. For me to say that to the kid once he gets to the high school level, hey, this is what you need to look forward to. You know what I'm saying? So I think it carries the same weight whether they 9, 15, 16, whatever. If a kid is out here if he's got comfortable enough to call your kid the N-word and drag the R, something need to be said about that.
If y'all go on Call of Duty server right now, it's a 12-year-old boy calling somebody a hard ER every 3 minutes.
Yeah, all the time.
7-year-olds.
There's no accountability. There's no accountability. So
Come on,
they're gonna continue to do that.
Call of Duty, bro. I've acted like a white kid and pissed off the black boys by calling them the N-words just to troll them.
Okay, that's because if they said it, so I feel like it's cap going on right now, because if your son say he was at school, a white boy called him a nigger, y'all just gonna be like, just walk away and be cool, or are you having an expectation of violence?
I'm gonna be like, what did you do for them to call you that?
No, that's all I'm saying.
You being
Like,
here?
come on.
I'm like, damn, bro. It was cool. Like, what the kind of shit?
Hold on, I know Cookie was trying to get in there. She had a hand raised. Let me go to you. Go ahead, Cookie.
This is funny. I'm with Bruiser on this one, because I don't care what age it is. Like, the hard R is not, people not just walking around slanging that around. You know what I mean? So this isn't a life expectation. Well, it's just words. No, it's not. No, it's not a racial slur with so much history behind it. As a matter of fact, what did you do or say back to them? Because what you say to me next is going to be very either disappointing, I'm going to be proud and have your back, or it's going to be some kind of a problem. That's just because they learned it from somebody. It's a habit. If it just rolls off the tongue like that for me. So, man, no, we're not doing that. It happened to my daughter, and I didn't even have to train her off top. She just started wailing on the kid. So I mean, that was just something I had to deal with. She was 5th grade. She already knew that was wrong. So yeah, I don't think it matters. I think we need to stop sugarcoating shit for the internet and tell the truth, because that's why anti-Semitism gets more cancellation than somebody just outright calling us hard R's. When in reality, it's the same thing. It is when you think about death, and I'm not anti-Semitic. What I'm saying is the reason why nobody takes it seriously is because we're constantly, it's just a word. It's just a word. And they've convinced us, like with the teacup on Get Out, that it's just a word. And no, it's not. hit them in their mouth. I don't care what nobody say. You're not doing that. We're not bringing back the 1600s. You better take that shit where you got it from and tell them that my parents are behind me because that's who taught me, since that's who teaching you. That's how I feel about it.
All right, hold tight, Ruth. Let me play a little bit more of this clip and let me get Ruth in there, Shan.
He's like, so what are we here for? And she's like, well, she corrects me in front of the class. And these three black people are like, here we go with this racist bullshit, because that's really what it is. We're in Florida in the 80s and the 90s. And
But let me ask you this.
Okay.
Do you think she would have felt equally as offended if a white kid, because I'm assuming this teacher was white, right?
Mm-hmm.
If a white child would have corrected her, I think most teachers would feel some type of way if a child corrects them.
That's not for me to surmise. I'm just saying that my experience was this lady giving wrong information.
Yeah.
And I'm allowed to correct her. Now, this is the same lady who tried to accuse me of stealing. And when a white girl said, no, Amanda didn't steal it, I did, she was like, well, I think both of you need to go to the principal.
Right.
I'm in Orlando, Florida, which is a notoriously racist state, Florida, in the 90s. And I'm talking to you about a white woman who is speaking about black people, indigenous people, where those same indigenous people have had all of their land taken from them by former criminals that were sent there from England. And she is calling them Stone Age people. And I, as a black girl, the only black girl in her class, am correcting her.
But my thing is, you're right. She possibly misspoke or she didn't know.
I guess my question to you is, why do you even feel compelled at this juncture in this interview? Why would you even feel compelled to try to
because I'm not defending, but my thing is that what I'm trying to say, most adults, when kids correct them or speak, feel some type of way. This is not unique to a black, white, or white, black. Okay. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm sorry that you took it that way. But I remember when I was growing up, my grandparents and parents said, hey, kids, stay in your place. Adults are speaking. That's all. Maybe that didn't happen where you were from in Orlando, but where I grew up, when I grew up, kids did not correct adults. So I apologize if you thought it came off as combative.
No problem.
All right, go ahead, Ruth.
Crazy.
We're gonna get back to that. When I say it's just words, of course I'm going to be upset. I'm going to tell the teacher, but I feel like we as black people, we got to stop letting white people have so much power. Like, just because a white person says something, now all of a sudden we got to fight them. So you want me to tell my feminine girl in high school, a boy called you the N-word, go fight him. There's nothing she really can do. They're hearing the black boys and girls calling they call each other the N-word. They literally, not to tell a secret, they got a group with the N-word in it. And then now we telling them they're not saying, like, we got to stop. We got to have a hard line. Like, look, we're not saying that. Y'all can't say that to us. Until then, it's everybody got to handle it the way they want to handle it. So if my daughter was to fight somebody over the N-word, she's not gonna get in trouble. But at the same time, it's like, we can't just because somebody say something to us, we got to go all crazy and go out of control and hit them and think that that's okay. Because in real life, that's not really how it go. I was walking down the street, some lady was saying something like that. She said the N-word or whatever. I've been called the N-word, and what am I gonna do? Just put up my dukes and just start fighting people? No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm going to mind my business, go on and say you're nobody to me and keep it moving. That's what I mean by that. Like, take the power out of it, that they, just because they say something, we got to get all emotional. We don't have to react that way. And if everybody chooses to react a certain kind of way, then that's fine. But have you been to the schools when something happened? They're not really doing nothing about nothing. They're really just trying to write your child up for every little thing. So this is another reason to go to the school for me. So that at this point, I'm just like, yeah, I'll just graduate. That's all.
Ruth, have you ever been in a fight in your life?
Yes, very much so.
When you was younger?
Yes.
Okay.
I fought 3 times a year. But and that's why I say that, because I let them say whatever they were saying, and then I let it build up. And then the day I was ready to fight, I end up calling them a word. I always call them the B word. And I was like, oh, that's what I'm doing wrong. Every time I'm getting the B word, we start fighting. And that's how it happened every time. So that's why I said, if I just decide, like, look, if they ain't never hit me, I don't hit them. If I don't say certain things, I don't let it escalate, then I can just walk away. But we don't know how to de-escalate. We just keep going on, and then it becomes a problem. But when the black kid and the white kid is fighting, now your kid got a suspension, and then they never tell you what they did with that white kid, which probably was a slap on the wrist.
Okay.
But if your black kid call a Jewish kid something, they'll probably get expelled. You do realize that, right?
Right.
With no violence at all. So my thing about it is, we have to react in some kind of way, so they'll know that we're offended, because it's too easy for people to get away with calling us names than any other race in the world. It's just okay. We supposed to put our head down and keep going. I'm not minding it, but it's all good though.
Call them a name. That's fine. But I don't. It's to teach the girls to fight and all that. Like, if there was maybe a boy, go ahead, knock yourself out. But if it's a girl and she's not a fighter, I'm not going to tell her to fight somebody because they call them the N-word. Just not.
I believe the more noble thing to do for any parent whose child comes home to say that this white kid called me the N-word with dragging the R is to get firearm training and become a teacher at that school.
Let me get Shannon in there. Go ahead, Shan.
Okay, because it's going everywhere. Okay, so I believe that you should definitely stand up for yourself, even at the 8 years of age. But you should do it in a proper fashion, right? You should kindly state what what is going on. As far as her experience, you gotta remember, if you were talking about 88, that's only 20 years from 68, right? So let me just give you an idea what that looks like. I've been teaching for 21 years. So a person like me would have been teaching in the 60s going into the 80s if I were a teacher. Does that make sense? So these are some of the same teachers who were there during the Southern segregation, so that mind frame is still kind of there. You don't change overnight. It takes a minute, okay? I think we're thinking about this time. We have to put ourselves back in the past. And I know this for a fact because it happened to me. I'm from Alabama. I had that one teacher who, she just would say some things and you were like, but I was taught, just like he said, you never question a teacher, you can't handle yourself a certain type of way. But my adult self wish I would have just in a nice way just been like, hey, because like she said, you don't know how that makes the person feel. I'll never be able to go back and say what I could have all these woulda, coulda, shouldas in my mind, but I just took it every day because we didn't have blocks. We had it every day. That class period, it was just jabs. And that's not fair to the kid. And if you're 8, imagine an 8-year-old. If your kid is being treated like this every single day or whatever the situation is, and it could be a learning experience. These kids may have been able to get away with this. Hey, why not sit down? Let's have a powwow. This is what we don't do. This is what we do. And I would hope that would happen. And the kid, the parents would get involved. And the parents, instead of doing Bruiser said, the right thing to do is to volunteer at the kids' school to become more involved. They start to know who you are. You get to know all the things that are going on in the school. And then you'll have a little bit of input because they know who you are because you're in the school, quite often. So I know that was a lot, but
putting a kid in some type of combatives class also helps. So whenever the slur is said,
you don't want to fight. So you never fight it you never put yourself in the wrong. You can correct it in the right type of way. You have to learn how to diffuse things in the right type of way. You can get your point across without fighting.
So if you're a teacher and you see a white boy call a black boy the N-word, and he do a double cartwheel kick to his head, are you telling me that
other kid? She said somebody hit her in that video?
No, I'm just saying.
Oh, you adding on? Okay, go ahead. I'll play along.
If you see the kid kick the other kid's ass for calling the N-word, are you gonna say? What are you gonna say? You well deserved it, or you gonna send a kid to this principal's office?
Yeah, he would be disciplined. Because guess what? Not every kid was born to fight. You know, that kid is in a vulnerable situation. Not every kid is born is a fighter. They're just not. And we know it because you're always at the bottom of the pile when the fight is like, not everybody's a fighter. So I'm going to have to step in, especially if it's a little kid. And we're going to have to discipline this kid. This kid cannot be here. There will be action that has to be taken because that's just not right. This kid needs to learn that you don't put your hands on somebody else as the adult in the situation. Now, let's talk about if it were my kid. I'm just playing, no. But I would hope that we'll take care.
Hold on. So if it was your kid, it'd be different.
I think that it's imperative that they do stand up for themselves. That's definitely not what I'm saying. You should absolutely stand up for yourself, but the way that you go about it matters. We was talking about this on King's Talk of people crashing out. Is that something that's worth crashing out about? That's debatable. That you know,
before you can get a charge on your record, absolutely.
You said we're talking about the situation that she said is that the original situation. Are we talking about the ones that y'all created in the conversation?
I mean,
the original situation.
The only thing that she could do, and the only thing that anybody can do in that moment is to react by either violence or report it. You know what I'm saying? Those are the only two decisions that you can make in that situation. Now, again, what it is that you do in that moment matters tremendously because it's going to affect you in whatever type of way. If you do fight him and you punch him, he fall backwards, hit his head, goes into a coma. You know what I'm saying? Now it's a whole nother thing that you could have just walked away from. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I get it. The N word is it has so much power behind it and influence and all that other stuff. But okay, if you don't put your hands on me, then hey, you can call me a nigga all you want to. That's as a grown man, I don't know about the other fellas on this panel, but I've never had a white man call me a nigga. I had a 12-year-old
Not
call
in person.
me.
I saw me and my wife was driving back from Wrigleyville one day, and I was sitting in the passenger seat because I was real tired. This dude came across the street and slapped her car, and because you pull it past the line a little bit, like you're supposed to stop the line. She had pulled over the line a little bit, slapped her car, and was like, "Watch it, nigger."
And then they pulled off. I'm sure.
No, I hopped out the car and beat the brakes off that man into the fire hydrant. Like,
so can I say something? That may make you feel good, but y'all not gonna like what I gotta say. She's a little girl.
Hold on. You said it,
remember that?
Huh?
It's like you said that made you feel good, his story?
No, I said that may make you feel good. Him doing that may make him feel good. But let me just tell you, as a little girl, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna say this because this really is how it works, okay? Especially if you go to a white school. People come to the help of victims. When you show that you're hard, you become the villain. If you sit there, and I know it sucks, and you play, oh, I'm the victim, they're going to all rush to your assistance like, oh my God, you did that to the little kid and da-da-da-da. It's when we fight back, unfortunately, that we get our, whether we like it or not, y'all know it's true. You start they're reversing like, oh my God, you start, especially a little girl. Y'all talk about it all the time. When you talk about women, it's the same thing, the same reaction, it's the same mentality. Y'all talk about how women turn masculine and you don't even want to protect them no more. It's unfortunately the same way when people are kids and you start fighting, you take it off of, now they're looking at her as being a fighter, right? She would have been better off just saying, oh my God, my feelings are hurt, blah, blah, blah. And teachers, the mentality is, I want to protect this little girl. She's vulnerable. I'm just saying.
Not if the teacher's racist.
No, you can't do that. If we got violated and we didn't retaliate, we fooled at that point. You can't do that, especially as a man.
You can retaliate. It's just a different way. You don't have to fight with violence. You can fight it back in different ways.
It's like
let me
ask you a question. Where has fighting gotten us? Like hand fighting. Where has it gotten us?
Somebody
Respect.
got people off my ass.
Yeah,
Well, okay, that is totally
yeah. I was
different
gonna
if you're
say
being.
revolutions
Come on, we
happen
know that's
from
not the same.
violence.
Okay,
I know
black
Ruth about
schools,
to say something, boy. She held her mouth open like,
black schools and white schools maybe is different, right? So when you're in the black school, you have to fight, and that's why I was fighting. As soon as I went over to the white school, I was like, well, maybe let me try something different. So what you're saying may apply to the white school because
She was at a white school.
You're outnumbered. You're outnumbered, and they're gonna already think that you're the villain as the black person. But when you're in a black school, you better be ready to fight. That's all I'm gonna say.
Let me play the
I
rest of
won't
the
disagree
clip.
with that.
Hold on, let me put this clip in.
hold on, what you laughing at, Jill?
I'll just read something.
So let me ask you this. How old were you when you got diagnosed, and did you always feel that you was different and you felt something was wrong?
Well, what's today?
Today is Thursday, the 18th.
So 42 and however many days until I was just recently diagnosed.
Okay.
And this came out of this situation because so many black women who are autistic said to me, I see you. You need to. And I've always thought, you can look at other interviews. I have mentioned before, like, I think I'm on the spectrum because I'm an 80s baby. This was not really a part of the narrative.
Right.
And as we started seeing more about autism and you start seeing shows about different characters and I start learning more like from people like Holly Robinson Pete, I'm like, this feels really like me. But then, I think sometimes we're afraid to learn certain things.
Yeah.
So
60s and 70s babies just got whipped and put to bed.
And to be honest, it's true. And to be honest, I just want to say, like, so my mom, so in this revelation, my mother started looking up like symptoms of autistic children and was like, oh, you exhibited all of this, but I didn't know what to do with this. Mm-hmm. She's a single parent. She's trying to figure it out. But I really just thank my mom because what my mom couldn't show up for me emotionally, I realized that she was able to, at the very least, that's not even fair to say, she was able to still let me be who I am instead of beating it out of me.
Right.
Which happens to so many kids who are misunderstood, like, and she's West Indian, La Japal Grenada Massive. And so, like, I'm over cautious, loquacious child that's always talking and they're telling her like, why are you letting her just do all this talking and all of that? Why she's too fresh? She too fresh. Why you letting her just run she mouth so? And my mom is like, that's Amanda. Like, let her live.
Right.
And let's be real, most parents.
That's what happened.
No, shut it up.
Mm-hmm.
They cut out at the end, he was asking, no, I have not been clinically diagnosed by a doctor because I'm not paying $10,000 to do that. And most people will tell you that at this age, you don't need a clinical diagnosis in that sense. And I think that's the other thing. It's like, we are so conditioned here in this nation to really only consider something in one kind of way. And I will get back to that.
All right. Go ahead, Nelson. So share a little bit like your expertise, man. What are your thoughts?
So she says that she was diagnosed, that she had autism, but she recently got diagnosed with autism. But then in that next clip said she didn't get diagnosed with autism. I wasn't tracking with her after a while.
And so back in the day, they weren't testing people for autism.
No, she on the couch said she had it, and she doubled back and said she has not been clinically diagnosed. So
okay.
You caught that, sir. You did.
Yeah, okay.
Well,
Thank
she didn't give me autism. I don't know what she's talking about. She definitely not. Well, let me shut up. Never mind.
So you know what if she would have had that, she would have been misdiagnosed. That is the belief that you are special and you can only be understood by other people that are special like you. So that is another dramatization. I was diagnosed as being autistic, yet look how brilliant I am, I'm fluid in my language. I know my history. I can challenge the smartest people on things. she would have been misdiagnosed. She's I've seen a lot of her previous stuff and a lot of her previous interactions. She is just a master manipulator. She's like LeBron James, like the person that everybody is so against me, but yet I'm the best to have ever done anything. It's that same dramatic victim mentality, narcissistic traits.
Go ahead, Roof. You trying to say something? I don't know what that was. You were stretching? Okay. Go ahead, Cookie.
She might not be autistic, but she definitely insane. I don't know this chick. I don't. I'm having a hard time following her because she not only is she manipulative. Oh, I guess that is. But lying is a part of being manipulative because she just outright lied. And then gonna get on her live and go, "Well, I ain't clinically diagnosed." Then why did you say on the couch? Like this woman has deeper issues
And it's
than
not $10,000 to get a diagnosis.
yeah. I mean that was kind of cringe. Like, what do you, ma'am? What do you mean you displayed all of this? You self-diagnosed with sympathy, and then like you can overcome. Like I have autistic children in my classes, ma'am. You do need a piece of paper to tell you. You do need a diagnosis, diagnosis to tell you that you're autistic. Like she's weird. That's she a weirdo. Let's just
Well,
call it what it is.
she was saying something in an interview, and I probably don't have a clip because I was going to pull it from the original clip, but she mentioned something about when she was younger, she used to doodle, and she used to have to try to like always be doing something. She could never sit still. So this is what she was saying during the interview with Shannon Sharpe. So I guess
she was trying to detail stimming, like a trait of it.
Yeah.
But so she said that she took an online test and those symptoms is what she diagnosed us. So she pretty much did a WebMD for a diagnosis and then backtracked it. So
she could have just as easily gotten a diagnosis of ADHD.
She got a man?
She's definitely, I don't think she's autistic, but she may have something. She may be something because her social cues are so off. But I don't think it's autism.
She got a man?
Hold on, Bruce. I said we're gonna get
all right.
Okay. All right. So you guys want to go ahead?
Yeah. All right. So she doesn't work a conventional job, right? So she probably doesn't have your conventional health insurance that you would have if you were working a 9-to-5 for like a major company or something. So a diagnosis for an autism actually can become very expensive. It can cost you easily $5,000 because, for one, the first part of it is you would see a psychologist, and then to fully diagnose yourself, you need to check with a neurologist, right? So that can be quite expensive with the testing. I'm very familiar with the testing, seen it done, everything else. So it could be rather expensive. That does not excuse her for lying at all, because that's pretty wicked. She wasn't exhibiting any signs that I'm familiar with at all. So she probably doesn't have it. I would say that she absolutely does have some type of mental disorder, but I wouldn't attempt to diagnose what that is. But I believe that she's absolutely suffering from multiple things. That's just my opinion. I'm not an MD or anything like that, but yeah, she's having some serious issues that obviously need to be addressed quickly, because she's not happy. You can tell for sure. She's obviously very disturbed, and she need to address that, man. It's unfortunate because I think that a lot of it is out of her control, so I can kind of sympathize with her. And in her own mind, I don't think from her perspective that she's quite aware of a lot of the things that she's doing and how she actually comes off, right? It's terrible, but until she actually gets the help that she needs, she's going to be in a bad position.
Go ahead, Cookie.
It's quick. One of my good friends diagnoses people. She's an ass. She's an attention seeking soul. That's what we call an ass. That's what she
What?
is. Yeah, it's an acronym. Attention seeking soul. That's what she is. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. She's an ass.
All right.
This woman is a full blown victim. She's stuck with this mentality. Nobody can tell her anything aside from it. Everything in her life has went wrong. I'm pretty sure she complained at some point about whatever role she played on Insecure. She probably even got stories about it that she just waiting to release. She waiting for Issa Rae to do one thing that'll piss her off. Oh, you ain't want to put me on this show? Bet. Issa Rae did such and such and such and such. That that's what it seemed like she, you know what I'm saying, the type of person she is. And it's crazy, man. We just need to start calling the shit out, man. Back in the day, we would have called her retarded. Man, shorty retarded. Something wrong with her.
So let me ask you: do y'all feel like she's doing a lot of this intentionally? Do you think that she's really self-aware? Do y'all think that
I think it's her
she's really
personality. I
coming
think
from?
that she just has a manic. She has not, but she just has a. She just impulsive, so to speak. I think
We're living
comes to her mind, and
we're living in a day and age where people will do stuff like this just for the clout, just to be relevant, just for the attention. They'll create these scenarios, you know what I'm saying, so that they can further look like a victim because it sells. It's controversial. It'll get people to talk about it. Maybe somebody will feel bad for her and give her another TV role, whatever the case may be. Uh, this is real life, how people are going about living their life. You know what I'm saying? So we got to acknowledge it and call it out and say what it is.
Yeah, but this is really her personality traits, though, too, because you got to look at her previous roles that she has and start looking into why she got kicked off of certain shows and why she lost certain opportunities. It's because of a lot of the same types of behaviors. So, these are personality traits that she has. And it does seem like people like that are attention seeking. And to an extent, yes, they are, because that's one of the actual personality traits. But, if you're like saying that like she's doing it just so like she can stay relevant in the media and remain famous, things like that, I think this is a normal part of her personality, which causes her to always have to be the victim, always needs to receive praise, always needs to be the special one. Like it's who she is. There's nothing
No,
that can change it.
I agree with that, but and I'm sure that you're quite familiar with the whole mental health part of it, right? Most children that are aware that they have been diagnosed with something, even when they know that they're in the wrong, they would use that as a excuse as to why I did this. Oh, I did this because I have X, Y, and Z. When they're fully aware of what it is that they have, but they're using it as a crutch to get away from the accountability that comes with it. So I agree with what you're saying, but I still think that she's intentionally doing it to use it as a crutch to get whatever it is that she wants.
Go ahead, Shan.
I don't. So this is the thing. So I look at it kind of different, right? So maybe these things happen to her, like so she may really think she's autistic. Okay, the situation she's in may have really happened to her. And, there's some people who find an incident that may have been like this small to a normal person, but they blow it up. Like they remember every single thing, as they got the time to sit there. Like you would have never known I was treated that way in my classroom had we not had this conversation. I wouldn't even bring it up. But some people wear it on their sleeve and they bring it out every time they have an opportunity. And we've all been through things that you probably just hid and you like, I'm over that, but you can bring it out. And I think that what she does is maybe she's experienced these things. I don't think that these are things that she's not experienced. I think she's just one of those people who remembers everything that happened, and she's going to tell you everything that happened to her. And that comes along with something that may be going on, some deeper things. I don't think it's autism, but maybe some deeper things that may need to be looked at, because we can see her behavior is not quite normal as how she,
That's how the gaslighting and manipulation occurs, though, because that's what they do.
Well,
They take
gaslighting
a
is a
simple.
term for something that's going on, right?
So
So
she
not
takes a small truth. She'll take a little bit of truth and blow it up and throw and pack a
well
bunch of lies into it.
right. So you're assuming it's a lie. You don't know that it's a lie. You're assuming it's a lie because maybe her pattern is that she and it's like, how can all these things happen to one person? Well, it could. We've all had things. We just don't bring them up, right? So I think that the problem is, why is she so big on like playing the victim role? Most of us just get over it, let it go. We don't let it define who we are, and we just move on. But for whatever reason, she has this thing where she, focuses on these negative things that have happened in her life. Because I don't want to call her a liar, because we just don't know that she's a liar. We can only go by what she says. So
Yeah, I think
She
we can make
wants the
informed
attention.
decisions after a certain point, because
well,
when you
it's
have a
not
pattern of
informed. I mean,
when you have a pattern of lying, at some point you become a liar. I mean,
well, everybody lies.
yeah, to
We
this
not
extent,
all lie.
though.
Well, we probably lie in different ways. We talk
You lie
about lying
publicly.
all the time. Women lie
You
when
lie.
with the body count. People lie about their intentions. These are all lies. Lies are lies.
Right, but it's different when you lie publicly and it's recorded for people to say, no, you
Is
didn't
it
say.
different?
Absolutely, it's different.
Okay.
How is that? How is it not different?
It's people on panels who be lying, and
This
you
is
don't be wanting
true.
to call them out. You be like,
Point them out. Point them out.
no,
I'm
I'm
saying
just
this,
saying. We just sit here and it's like, okay, but we know, that ain't true. But like, so people lie.
I'm not saying that people don't lie. What I'm saying is that is different for a person to lie and knowing that this is being recorded. Thousands, millions of people is about to hear me say this lie, and I know it's a lie, and I can Google and see, okay, well, no, that's not true. That's
So what did she lie about?
Oh, I honestly, I checked out. I wasn't even really listening to what she was saying just because it
I'm not.
sounded.
So somebody said don't normalize. Lying is normal. People lie. Are y'all saying people don't lie?
That's not what I'm. You're not
No.
listening to what
We're
I'm
not
saying
saying
at
it's
all.
right. Well, I was talking about somebody in the chat, not you, baby. I'm sorry. But go ahead. Biz. My
No,
apologies.
I'm not saying that people don't lie. People lie, of course, but the settings that you lie in is what matters, I believe. Uh, if again, if we're on a panel and you're saying something and then you try to retract it, knowing that it's a lie, like that's different. I feel like that's just simply different from telling a little white lie, as they say. The
People who lie lie.
the the
They
There's a
lie.
thing
there's a
the thing
just
with
this is what a
that,
lot of people do, though. Like, you understand, like, a lot of guys have gotten in trouble because of this type of stuff. Like, a woman, like, you get into an argument with a woman and you grab her arm.
Mhm.
That's She goes then and goes to the police and says, he attacked me, he assaulted me, he shook me up and threw me against the wall, and then he shot me 5 times.
Right.
Like, these types of people go to those lengths of exaggerating the facts. So there is a fact in there. Yeah, he did touch your arm, but everything that you added onto it are fabrications. And that's the dangerous thing about these types of people, is that there's lengths that they don't know where to stop at with the lying, because they need that attention, they need that supply. So they'll go as far as they need to get in order for people to pay attention to them, in order to be looked at as a victim. That's why I'm saying, yes, everybody does lie, but most people have a boundary that they'll go
Unconscious
to
when they
with
lie.
their lie.
Right.
Yeah.
Juicy Smollett, this man said that he got beat up on the coldest day in Chicago. It wasn't that cold in 50 years. This man chose the day that it was 30 below outside, snowing, to say that he got jumped by 2 white dudes wearing MAGA hats. And then when the police come into his house, the man still has the noose around his neck from 2 hours ago. Come on, man.
So let me ask you a question. Am I missing something? Is there something she's lied about? Because what I'm just looking at a video and I'm like,
So Shan, I think she has a pattern of behavior, right? And there's some accusation about her lying on a black man and me tooing him, kind of, where he just texts her, and I think he was like a neurosurgeon or like, you know, don't give me the quote in his profession correctly, but he's a professional football player and he was a doctor or a Rhodes Scholar, something that required a high level of intellect. Okay. He like texted her a couple times, and he had a situation with another girl who told her that he did something to her. And because that other girl said it, she went on national TV and broadcast that he was like this, pretty much ruining his reputation. And then it came out that he never did anything to Amanda Seals. He only texted like 2 or 3 times. So there's that context.
I would need to know, because I'm like, what are y'all getting out of that clip?
Oh, yeah, we got to shift it. We got to shift it a little bit. We're still on this topic, but some a little different. So Gilbert Arenas and Ocho shared their thoughts on why Amanda Seals is single at 42. Here you go.
But I ain't got no problem with Amanda Seals. She was great. She's very funny. She has and I do believe some of the people have done her wrong. And I think a lot of because that's what you deal with. We all go through it. Dealing with men or women, you're not dating them, you're dating their childhood, their past traumas. That's what you got to get past. So I'm excited. I was excited to have her. She was great. She taught me a lot of things. But she's highly educated. She's real versed. She can sing. She's a comedian. She's a writer.
Is she married?
No, she's not married. She's not married.
The same day, huh?
I mean, yes, I'm listening to you list all the qualities that she has, and I'm just curious if she was married, because that sounds like that's a great catch for someone.
Yeah. No, that sounds like some flaws for some men. Because as educated as she is, right?
Yeah.
She's there's a standard of a man that she's looking for.
Right.
Yeah.
If it's not on the same educational level as her, she's gonna look down on. And but that is, if they're more educated than her, then they talking down to her. Right. So these are the type of women that will typically be single because they can't find the equal partner to they are.
She wants someone that's versed. She wants someone that's inquisitive. She wants someone that wants to travel. I mean, look, to each his own.
Okay, I got to do this because this one just frustrated me. So Shannon, Ocho Cinco, Gilbert Arenas are talking about the Amanda Seals interview, and Shannon goes through all the reasons why Amanda's great, and Ocho asks, is she married? It's so toxic and problematic. Like, the value of a woman and the things that she brings to the table is only completed or only fulfilled by the fact that she's married. Problem one. A lot of black women aren't married because it ain't on them. It's because we don't have our acts together. But we can talk about that. We can talk about that later. Problem two is that you say and criticize her for being smart, that she can't get the man she wants because she set a standard. Brothers, it is biblical. Well, yeah, you can go back there. Proverbs 31. They talk about the Proverbs 31 woman and all the things that she is. And the man, her man, is honored as an elder at the gates because of the amazing things she brings and has. He's respected because he was smart enough to have her. We gotta do better. So, yeah, fellas, like, pick better. Maybe you'll be respected as an elder instead of criticizing a woman because she's smart and strong and paid and doing her thing.
Man, who is this milk dud ass nigga, man?
He ain't lying. Y'all ain't finna do that today.
Man,
Now,
stop
I
it,
will
man.
say for Amanda, yeah, she got some issues. I can tell. I can see why she got married. But what that man said, separate from Amanda.
Man, get out of here, man. Come
That
on
was
now.
pandering.
Listen,
we just
our
come on
marriage
now.
rates are 48%. 48%. You got all these options. You ain't got to marry an American black woman. You can marry anybody. 48%.
If we just watched her interact with this grown man the way that he did that she did, what man in his right mind is going to deal with that on a personal and intimate level? And if they do, it's not going to last long.
I agree.
He had to walk on eggshells with her.
Yeah, come
Like,
on, man. Ain't nobody trying to commit to that. That's foolish. Dude talking out his head for life.
We can agree with that part, but the other part he was talking about.
Well, look, I could understand. I hear what you're saying because I understand the brother's sentiment, but for him to say that specific about her is disingenuous because you know damn well she is not marriage material. She has a lot of things that she has to fix first. She's got to do some serious soul searching, some serious counseling. She needs to seek help first. That no man like Viz said in his right mind is going to marry her. She's got to fix some things first, and we're not going to care about her accolades. We don't care about your accomplishments. That's not really doing anything for us as men. That means nothing really. That's cool, but that's not what we are really looking for. That's not if you lead with that, then yeah, good luck trying to find a man. She's going to have to really get herself together before. I'm talking about. So yeah, Nelson, I'll say you're right on that. He was certainly pandering. He just want to be another Derek Jackson, and that's cool. But yeah, he could go ahead with that.
Go ahead, Bruce.
She's 42. I wonder if she want kids. I'm in my scam likely mode right now. Nah, I ain't gonna do that. But anyways, she can't even sit down and have an interview with a man without getting her feelings. I think it's gonna be really hard for a man that's trying to look at her on a dating spectrum as far as getting into a relationship to try to vet her for a wife. She looked decent. I mean, when she has all her makeup on, she looks really good. Not so much when she don't have it on. But
what?
I don't understand the dude saying that. I think he said once a woman get educated and get all her accolades and get to where she wanted in life, then it's not, enough guys to at her level or whatever. But where the ball is dropped for me is I don't understand why a man got to be at a woman's level in order for them to be in a relationship as far as the education and work level. I think you could still, figure a way to make ends meet and make it work. If she out earns you, I mean, if y'all like Hank said, if y'all putting it in one pot, should it even really matter? You know what I'm saying? Like, I get the hypergamous nature, but I'm kind of fed up with it too. I'm like, man, come on, we can go ahead. Somebody's going to say something.
I think you kind of work against yourself like that when you decide to be well accomplished and be hypergamous simultaneously. You're pretty much your own worst enemy. You're immediately going to price yourself out of the market. Your candidates become more and more limited if you're hypergamous. They are more and more limited. Do women understand that part? Like the more you accomplish, if you decide, hey, look, I want somebody at or above my level, that now your options become more and more limited. You're not building. That's how men build themselves up for women. That's not how women build themselves up for men. You're working against yourself by doing that.
Even when we build ourselves up,
We get more options. Our options open up.
We're hypogamous. I think that's the word, hypogamous. That
It's hypogamous.
You look for them to be down. And I don't think women have. I think they have the ability to do it. I think they're just afraid of what their peers may say. Are you dating a man that don't make as much as you? Or I think women are more concerned about how they stack up amongst their friends as far as the men they bring into their life, instead of just finding somebody who really love them and want to be in a relationship with them.
There's definitely nothing wrong with a woman with education, with money, that's got her own dreams and goals. I think the major problem that comes with it when it comes to being with a man is that when that changes your character to where you start believing that you are entitled to certain things, where you believe that you are special, to where now he has to come up and reach your level and now you're the prize, and those types of characteristics start becoming who you are based on what you feel like you've accomplished. I don't think that's desirable to anyone. I don't think that's desirable, for women to men and men to women. I think the way money changes us and the way we look at self-importance, we're becoming a narcissistic culture, and I think it's drawing us away from one another.
Yeah, I think the dig was, but is she married though? So, and if it wasn't Amanda, that would be offensive, but it's her. So sorry. Because I don't see myself having a conversation and it go well either. Sometimes, like, we know women like this, like everybody is their enemy and you can't have a real conversation with them. So how's she gonna have women friends that tell her the truth when she can't handle the truth, but she want to tell everybody the truth? And as far as the whole women being successful, I think women should start building their empire. Don't have to wait for somebody to help you build, but you have to go get somebody that balances you out. So he may not make as much money as you, but you sorry, somebody being rude, but but you find somebody that is as a woman when you're being successful. So you go and you're trying to be the man by making the money, but then you want to go back and be the woman and say I want to be hypergamous. So you got to pick one. So if you're going to have the money, then you're going to have to look for other qualities like the men do and pick somebody that's going to balance you out, because nowadays women need more emotional support, because women are crashing out that are successful. 1 minute they killing it, the next minute I'm in my soft girl era. I'm tired. I don't want to build businesses all day. So that's why we need a man. We need a man that's going to emotionally support us and find out what he can do and work with him.
That's a trait that mostly belongs to women a lot of times. Like if women need men to be that emotional support, and men are more naturally wired to provide and protect, but you want the man at home to, rub your feet and process your feelings with you, that kind of goes against what a lot of women actually say they want in the long run. Because they want an emotional man, a soft man, but then on the same token, you hear a lot of women talk about why can't he just take the initiative? Why can't why can't I be the one that just stopped working and he say, babe, I got you, I'll hold this down.
I think it's different, Nelson, not to interject.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say get emotional man. Emotional support mean he listens to you. He lets you vent your frustration. He's still a man. He's still stoic. He's still a rock. He's someone you can go to. Not an emotional man. Please do not cry in front of me. Please do not tell me your real problems. Go process that with a man. We need to know the difference. But our hormones are since we're women, our testosterone is up. We working all day. That works for men. You get a reward from that. But women feel drained and depleted, and then we have to go help our families. So that's why we are crabby at the end of the day. But if we have somebody to listen to us, not offer advice, but listen to us, hear us out, then we'll feel more emotionally supported. Automatically, our hormones start balancing out because we have that from our man.
But you don't feel like a lot of men do that? Like, I think a lot of the problem is that there's a lot of complaints that men will just be silent after they listen to everything you say, because when they try to offer a solution, it's shot down because a lot of times they just want to vent. So men aren't going to be primed to like let you vent and then process feelings with you. A lot more men are going to be like, let me hear what you got to say and let me tell you how we're going to fix it.
And that's where the mistake is happening. We don't need the solution because she's not going to listen to you anyway. Most likely she's going to listen. She needs your support. She needs you to listen. But as soon as you offer the solution, it's like you're not listening to her. I'm not saying something like an opinion.
I think you project.
Dr. John Gray wrote a book about it, and he's saying this is what men need to do. Don't offer
John
the
Gray,
solution, and that is the support
the pastor?
that he needs. Say it again.
Are you talking about the pastor?
No. He's not a pastor. He wrote a book, Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. He researched the hormones, and he was saying if men did not offer solutions, it would be better. So listen to her and let her come up with her own conclusions and like kind of be like, you know how the therapists don't give you what their opinion is?
Right.
You hear her
lead
out,
you.
and that's the support that she needs, not what you want to give. Even though you might give her a solution, she might not listen to you, and then she doesn't feel heard.
So here's the thing, though. It's extremely conflicting because a man could do that, and then the woman could say, "Oh, well, I feel like you're not there to support me or something." And then if they do give advice, then it's like, that's not what I was asking you for. Men are problem solvers. 9 out of 10, the reason why you're with that man is because he's able to solve problems. He's able to lead in whatever manner it is that needs to be led in. That's what we're wired to do. Now, I understand that sometimes y'all want the suggestions, sometimes y'all don't. The difficult part for men is figuring out, all right, well, which one am I supposed to do? You know what I'm saying? And then if you do one, maybe it hit. If you try the other way, maybe it won't. You know what I'm saying? So it's conflicting
If
for
she
me.
asks you, right? So you're giving an unsolicited opinion. That's why it's a problem. But if she asks you for your advice, then give you the advice is my understanding of it. But if you listen to her, hear her out, she may come to the own. She doesn't want to hear like she knows what to do. She just wants you to know how she felt about how her coworker was talking to about her. You get what I'm saying? So
First of all,
like a parent-child
let me say
relationship.
something. First of all, I'm not listening to nobody who tell me I'm not from planet Earth. Second of all,
that's not
if she come to me telling me the toilet is stuck up, I'm gonna tell her go plunge this shit, and I don't give a damn how she feel. I'm gonna give her the solution because I don't want to smell that shit. That's point blank. So
but
all
if she
this shit
fell in
about
the toilet, she fell in the toilet because you didn't have the seat, because you didn't put the seat down. She wants you to know how she feels about that
if she
situation.
sat on that motherfucker without looking at it, that's her fault.
But you're not listening to her. She told you to put the seat down. So that's how she feel about it. So that's what I'm saying. Y'all thinking about yourselves when you're giving that solution. But if you think about what she needs, it's like the 5 love languages. You do it by that person's love language, not how you want to love. You got to love the person the way. And the men got to read up on this stuff too. If you read up on it and she read up on it, then y'all know what's going on. But women have to know what's going on as well. So let me give you another example. If a man was, if I'm talking, right? As a woman, I would have normally expected a man to tell me how he feels now. But as women, we should not expect him to open up like that. We're the ones supposed to be vulnerable and open up to them, and they're the ones supposed to be listening. They don't have to reveal all of their things because it's too much for us as women to hold.
I think all these novelists and book writers is getting too far into people's shit and relationships. At the end of the day, if a woman is submissive and cooperative, you don't got to deal with all that bullshit. I'm gonna go to work,
she might not be happy,
pay the
because they're
bills,
not
and come
listening.
home and expect the dinner. I don't give a damn about all that bullshit.
All right, hold on, y'all. Let me get Marcus in there. Go ahead, Marcus.
No, so why is Amanda Seals single at 42? I think the men that she would want to be married to, or that she would actually want to date, she not in a league no more. Right? And we talked about this the other day when we was talking about the prerequisites. She's an attractive woman, But Bruce, remember we was talking about women that's of that echelon where you like, damn, she down there got to get paid to be that beautiful. The men that she would realistically entertain have a pool of those women, and then from there, she doesn't have the femininity, the softness, the agreeability, any of those things that will pull you in. So like y'all hit it on the head earlier when you say she priced herself out of the potential dating market and put herself in a sphere for the men that she wants. She unfortunately she can't really meet the qualifications, and those men probably would be able to work with her and heal her emotional side. But it's like when you get rich, you get stuff free. You develop all the skills to be able to help somebody. Like I believe that I could work through damn near any emotional trauma with a woman and do all of these things if I wanted to. The irony of it is I don't have to at all. I'm gonna get the most feminine, softest woman, and I don't have to deal with that. But it's ironic because I think some people don't have the skill set to work through that, and that's your dating pool. So yeah, that's what I think.
I think she just miscalculated biology. Like
who
you're
me?
42 and any man want to be with you and want to have kids with you, it's gonna be really difficult for them. Most men, whenever they get married, they want to have a family. So I don't think she considered that on her journey to success or wherever the hell she is. She didn't consider those things. I think women typically have a window of opportunity and they don't embrace it enough because society is telling them that, hey, look, you can defy the odds, you can deviate from, biology. So they just shoot their shot whenever, you know what I'm saying? And they just take the risk of being alone. I remember I think it was a couple of days I was talking to a woman who was she had 3 kids by 3 different men. She never got married either. And she want a specific man, and she says she's going to fight until she get it. I'm like, yeah, but the odds are against you. She didn't want to hear that, and she said, "Who am I to tell her the odds are against me?" I'm like, well, it's all about your market value. It's all about what the average man that you're gonna, well, this specific man that you want to attract. He wouldn't choose you unless you were the last woman on earth, or you know what I'm saying. If he had 4 choices, and you would be the last choice. And the only way you would be typically a choice if it was a man who was incompetent. He didn't have any confidence and he didn't do the work. He didn't level up. I think Trev said it the best on one of the panels. He was one of those guys he was out in the streets, he didn't have no money. He's probably a paper bag boy. He's just looking for a couch to sleep on and dick a girl down just so he can have somewhere to lay his head when it's time to go rest. Those are the guys that she can get. And she didn't want to accept that. And if we just be more brutally honest with these women, man, and be unwavering about it, we're going to get pushback. They're going to cuss us out. Oh, they're going to call us names for telling them for the streets. But they for the damn streets, and that's just what it is what it is.
Let me get a cookie in there. You guys hear me?
Oh yeah, I can now.
What the hell's wrong with my shit?
I think Gilbert and Ocho were justified in their evaluation of Miss Seals. I think Amanda Seals is single because she's an exaggerator. She's a liar. She did lie about having autism and double backed and said that she didn't know, wasn't diagnosed. And there's a certain personality trait about her. I just probably think she's probably just a bad person to be around. I'm not gonna say she's a bad human because I don't know her well enough to do that. But observing her in an interview with someone as easy to talk to as Shannon Sharpe, and she managed to get into an altercation with this guy, is that she in a bad spot for as far as dealing with males. So I think that she's been that way probably her whole life. She seems probably maybe a little bit entitled and spoiled, enough to feel like that lie was gonna go the distance. She really thought telling everybody she was autistic, she was gonna get the oh, and people were really just like up at her, like, wait a minute, what you mean you autistic? And she didn't get away with it, and she probably somewhere mad about that. I think she's a whiner probably, and I just, in that education, singing, rapping, dancing, cooning, whatever it is that she doing is never gonna cover up the fact that honesty is the best policy, especially when you're trying to find somebody that love you. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. That's what I think.
All right. We got to transition, y'all. Got to transition. Guys, just tuning in. Welcome to Lapeef. Let's talk. Hit that like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel, please. Lacream Nation 1999 says Amanda Seals does a lot of lying, victim explaining and manipulating to gain sympathy because everyone knows she lied on a former NFL player. Let me think of somebody's in my crib, man. At these headphones, I'm like, what? Insurgent Myron Rowley for essay and almost ruined his career. Her cred was lost since then. Thank you. Congo English $10 says great dialogue amongst adults. Much appreciated, JR. Thank you. And lastly, the Cream Nation again, 499. Amanda Seals is single because she is a diehard left-wing feminist with psychological issues. She's the left-wing version of Candace Owens with swag. Thank you, everybody that's contributed to the platform thus far. Let's go ahead and keep it moving. We'll talk about religious gangbanging.
All speaking the truth of God, and we're all really wanting the same thing. Why is it so difficult for?
All right, let's go ahead and dive into it. Religious gang banging. I want to go first on this.
Yeah, I'll go first on that. I studied religion for quite some time. Shortly after I read the 48 Laws of Power, it really made me question religion, and it made me start to look into what other religions were saying. And essentially, everyone is saying the same thing ever since the beginning of time. But there was always this middleman that they placed there to essentially say that this group is the true, this is the true religion or the true way that you should live your life compared to just acknowledging who God is. So, I mean, we experienced, well, we didn't experience, but at one point in time with the holy wars, there was people were slaughtered over the thought of Christianity and Muslims, and it's still happening now to an extent. But we have this desire to be a part of something, and with everything there, we always have to acknowledge someone being wrong and someone is right. And that's literally what we see. We've been seeing it for thousands of years, and we're seeing it still to this day. And it's going to continue that way. That's just how the cookie crumbles. But at the end of the day, everybody believes in the same thing. I think that religion is, although I'm not a fan of it, I think that it is important to keep and instill morals into people. So I think that it does play a tremendous role into society. But if you get super deep into it, then it can absolutely be destructive.
All right. Shan, I thought you were trying to come off of there. Anybody else want to go? Go ahead, Dara. I know you've been getting closer to the Lord.
Yeah, I mean, I always been, understanding and reading the Bible and stuff like that. Never really took any denomination, so to speak, or classified myself as a certain, Southern Baptist or apostolic or whatever you want to call it. I've been to those churches. I've sat in those churches and received sermons about, different pastors. I even got baptized in those churches, but I don't really, label myself. I believe in God. I believe in the Lord. I believe in the Word. I don't even go to church. The reason why I don't go to church is because I think at this point, I think once we allow compromise in the churches, I guess I'm gonna say it. I said once we allow, you know what? I'm not gonna say it. I can't say that. All right. There's been a lot of compromise in the churches, and that's kind of what took me away from being part of congregations. I know people that go to church. I don't. It's not like I've befriended them or I don't talk to them or stuff like that. I still communicate with people that I grew up in the church with, but I don't sit in the pews no more. I'm more of a reader from on the outside, and I make sure that my kids and my family are indoctrinated with the scriptures and the word and what I believe in. And I mean, that's all I can say about that. And that way, that keeps me away from that. I guess that gang banging part of the churches that keep me away from that. I can sit on the sidelines and let them do it out. I don't seen a lot of stuff from the sidelines, and I invite y'all to join me. It's crazy watching from the outside what's going on in these churches, man. Because when you sitting in them, man, you might not be able to see it. But if you sit on the outside a little bit, man, shoot, Lord have mercy on these niggas. I mean, on these people. Excuse me.
Yeah, I think what Bruiser is talking about, that there's a lot of I'll call it like spiritual maturity inside of it. I think a lot of people, when you are new to religion, for me is Christianity. When you first come to God, you're like a baby. Like you don't know anything. You just know what you feel. You know what you're experiencing, and you depend on the church to teach you how to navigate that. And once you start getting proficient inside of the word and start understanding more about who God is, you start to see denominations pop up, because now they're saying you have to believe this way. Some of them is you have to dress this way. You have to perform these certain rituals. And that's when church becomes church. And I think for a time we fall into that, and we adhere to that, but as we continue to grow and continue to realize how some things don't align with what the word actually says, we start falling away. We start not falling away from God, but falling away from the church. Those are the people that start to now say that they're more spiritual, that they're more believing, that they don't need the church for for most things. That's a part of your maturity. As you grow more and you get more into the word and get closer to God, then you start realizing the purpose that you're here for, and then you start seeing more of the necessity of a body of believers that that thinks like you, and is aligned with the same goal, that is about bringing glory to God, and helping helping others, and is aligned with that mission. And so you see a lot of people then start returning to church, and they become more of the people that are like leading things and serving and doing things like that. So I think all of it is just one big spiritual journey. And the denomination stuff, as long as what's written inside the Bible, as long as you're following those tenets, you'll be okay. It's once people start coming up with their own interpretations of what certain things mean, then that's when we start running into problems, because if you don't believe my interpretation, then you're going to hell. And that is really, really messed up, and that discourages a lot of people. That's why a lot of people leave the faith.
All right.
So
Let me get a cookie in there. I think she. You good?
Yeah.
Don't
Just
know
a
what
little tired. Um, yeah, my days are long. I coach. But no, this is no shade to anybody. I was just gonna say, first of all, the whole Bible is an interpretation. That's one. It's been translated 100 times over. It's missing so many things, and for me, it just can't be trusted. So I chose to pray directly to God. I don't do middlemen, and in the church gang banging is real, because once upon a time I was going to church, and I had somebody tell me that my family was cursing, and I never went back. You know what I mean? I'm like, you don't even know me like that. You know what I'm saying? So I think it all depends on how people use how the people use the Bible as a weapon. If you coming around thumping me on my head with your Bible, I'm gonna teach you about your Bible. I probably know more about your Bible than you do, actually. You know what I mean? King Henry of King James version was written by a bunch of poets and translated and made it to where it's all population control. So what we read today is nothing near close to what was written back then, when people that looked like us were witnessing all the miracles. So until I find that Bible, I'm good with just praying directly to God. As far as the church gang banging and the religious stuff, the what is it, the Church of God and Christ and all of them people, that is wild to me, because they act like one group is better than the next, and in reality, Christianity was started out with bloodshed, and they rode around during the Christian Crusades telling people to be Christians or die. So at the end of the day, it's all in what you know and what you've learned about the actual history of religion and what you want to attach your soul to. And I just attach my soul to a higher power, because I'm not down with all the gang banging. But church has been gangs. They're some of the worst gangs on earth right now. The Vatican. One day the boys in the news for being messed with. The next, we ain't heard nothing else about it. They hiding stuff underneath the Vatican. Wonder why it's burning to the ground. I don't want to get struck by lightning when whoever come back. So I just don't want to be attached to nobody.
I don't even think
I'm
they're
sorry.
gonna use lightning, but I mean, I hear that a lot though. But the tipping
I
point,
don't want to get struck. I don't want to get hit by a meteor. I don't want to. I don't want to be associated with nobody that has been abusing God's word and that remixed it, even for their own benefit. When the judgment day comes, I don't want to be a part of it.
the tipping point
Sorry.
for me is whenever they used to play this song in the church. It was glory, glory, hallelujah. Since I laid my burden down, Lord. And then they would line us up. And they don't treat me. They push my head, and I would never fall back. And my mama would say, "Fall back." And I'm like, man, I don't feel it. But everybody in front of me will fall down, and the pastor just kept pushing me. I'm like, I don't want to fall down. And I was crying. I was like, man, I can't do this. And I walked out of church, man. But they were trying to push my head down. Every time they play that song, Lord, Lord, I just get out of the church, and then I come back when that song goes. Because I don't know, I used to think it was a demon in me. I'm like, damn, I can't get the spirit. But it wasn't that. It was just maybe them people was falling down.
You ain't had no demon.
Maybe them
The
people was
demon,
just playing around,
the
man.
demon was in that faking they was doing.
Well, I don't think that is
So
fake.
you think it be you think
Tongues
they be
they were
faking too?
speaking.
You think they be faking too?
I think some people fake, but I don't think that the experience itself is fake. If I don't know if everybody here has been in church. If you're in church and it's one of those emotional moments where the church is just simply going up, everybody is in there praising, they worshiping. It's infectious. You have no choice but to feel some type of way in that moment. Once you actually connect to what's happening in that moment, people are rejoicing, they're worshiping, whatever that looks like for them. You have no choice but to feel that. The music is going, the drums is going. It's you can't help but to not deny that. You know what I'm saying? That's real. Now, do people fake? absolutely, people gonna fake in everything, but I do believe that there is a very real extent of it if you are connected with it.
So is it? You think this is what do they mean when they say Shemana higher, Shemana whatever? What, you know what I mean?
Right, so that's supposed to be people catching the Holy Ghost and speaking in tongues. So from the outside looking in, yes, it looks and sounds ridiculous. Again, do I believe it? To an extent, yes. Do I believe that there are people that's just playing with it? Absolutely. And that comes in the judgment of whoever you deem as a higher being. But I feel that the true judgment of that is internally. If you know that you faking it, you know what I'm saying, and you doing it in front of all these people and you faking the funk, then the true judgment is going to be that internal struggle that you're going to have to deal with. And if it is the God, once we pass and you're judged or whatnot, then hey, there's an opportunity that's going to be mentioned, or you just come back and be reincarnated as a fish or something.
I think it's
know.
fake because the lady, she was a school teacher. I mean, she was a Sunday school teacher, and she would take out her dentures and speak tongue when it was time for her to speak tongue. And then whenever we would travel to the other church, out of the same mouth, somebody would cut her off, and she would say, "Get the fuck out the way," while she driving the bus. So I'm like, how can you speak in tongue 25 minutes ago when you got to wait the next? I was like, I don't know, man.
Let me go ahead and get Trav in there.
So it's a couple of things, right? I can see why some people are turned off from the church. However many years ago, politics were infused in the church, and damn anything you infuse politics into, it ruins it, right? And that's in every way. Whether you're sitting down seeing a senator there, showing his face or whatever, or making decisions, or I've been in some instances where they will encourage you to vote a certain way, and I'm like, that don't have nothing to do with the word. What are we doing, right? That's a bad thing. Another thing that would turn a lot of people off is it's been sensationalized, right? It's so much going on, like particularly in the South. In the South, these dudes, they want your W-2s to make sure you tithing properly. Like it gets out of control with these mega churches and stuff. So that's a whole nother deal, right? But you can't deny the fact that religion absolutely grounds some people. There are some people who are not going to be able to pick up the Bible and interpret it, right? They need that guidance, right? The church, they still feed people, right? They still counsel people for free, right? So there's a lot of many good things that come out of church. So I would say, listen, if it's something that you practice, that's cool. Then do it if you need it. And there are a lot of people who need it because they're not going to be able to do it themselves, right? They need that community. They need that encouragement. They need people to push and motivate them. And it's inspired so many people. And I've seen people turn their lives around once they focused on God. And a lot of people just don't have the ability to do that on their own. So it absolutely serves a good purpose. Now, as far as gangbanging, to me, that's weird, right? I don't judge anybody for what you practice, because at the end of the day, it's faith. None of us have any proof of anything. None of us could say yours is wrong, mine is right. None of us have that ability. There's nobody who can have anything to substantiate that their religion is real or the religion or any of that. So you have just as much right to study what it is that you want as I do myself, because nobody can prove anything. There's nobody here who could say, look, now I got the tape right now. Look, check this out. Or no, there's none of that. So your opinion is, or your faith is just as valid as mine is.
Go ahead, Marcus.
Oh, man, I don't know really how to answer this. It's been a journey for me. Just so, like I say, I got such unique experiences in church, right? Like I told you, I lost my virginity in a menage with at the pastor's house. Then he did a sermon, and he was talking directly. He was talking directly at me and trying to like embarrass me and stuff within the church. I stepped out of the church.
Wait, bro, you can't just
Uh-oh.
pass.
Let's start back over again, Mark.
You can't just pass over that, bro.
I talked about this before. When I was 13, 14, I had a menage at the pastor's house.
Oh, I thought you said with the. Okay.
Not with the pastor. He got daughters. He got daughters.
No different.
One his daughter and her friend. They end up what the girl wrote it in a book. Her auntie found it, took it to the pastor. Then they had to have this big conference with my mom because, like I told you, I've been big since I was little. So I ain't grown since 12, 13. So a grown man, it was trying to get me in trouble because how you know what I'm saying, how big I was. The girl aunt thought that, took it to the pastor. Then I had to long story short, I've had crazy experiences down to like when I spent a lot of time trying to disprove God to like the Christians in my family. Because all the research that Cookie is referencing, that Viz is referencing, the Crusades, that's like everything that you could think of. Is nobody who know more about the Bible than somebody trying to argue against it, right? I think that's more of a adequate statement for how people operate. And I was in that same metric. But I had experiences where my grandmother and them, so they'll tell me that they praying for you, and then random things that happen, and they'll go one way or the other. And I'm like, well, that could be coincidence. It could be God. I'm still at the point in my life trying to disprove it, though. I'm arguing with my aunties, I'm arguing with my grandfather, pastor. My other uncle called me the devil. You know what I'm saying? I got snakes and all type of stuff. They just going at me, right? And then I kind of just took a step back. And one of the things that helped me on the journey that I'm on right now is the red pill space. When I hear the men in the red pill space talk about women, and you try to argue with them to prove there's value outside of sex, and they don't see it, it kind of really set in that that's what I was doing when I was trying to argue that God doesn't exist or exist, and I just really couldn't see it. And stepping back from that situation and observing it, like people staunchly believe this. There's no other value outside of sex for these women. So anybody that's saying that they see value, they will think that you're lying about that. And that's the same way I was approaching the people that was talking to me about religion. So just like juxtaposing those two things, like I said, I've been on a journey, just growing. Like I'm reading the Quran and working through this in my mind in real time. So I'm the last. I used to be religious gangbanger for real, but it was on the opposite side to disprove. Like a friend invited me to church. I had an incident where the pastor tried to make me say, like, you know, when you had the new people come in and they like stand up and say that you're here for the church.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to the church. I'm trying to do my friend a favor because I used to play taboo with them. They kept trying to get me to come. So I finally agreed. I go into church and the pastor do the new people stand up and raise your hand. I stood up. He like, no, stand back up, and tried to get me to as long as you accept Jesus Christ as your personal savior, and then you welcome in our church. And I was like, okay. And I sat back down. He like, do you accept him, brother? This man on the microphone. The other three people that stood up with me all said, yeah, they go to the front to get baptized. And I'm talking to him. I'm like, and I just, you know how you try and not answer and sit down? I try and not answer. He, stand back up, brother. Stand back up. I'm super tall. So I'm standing there hovering over them. And the dude got the microphone and he proceeds to try and browbeat me. So now I'm arguing with the pastor in the middle of church saying like, if Jesus is love and God is love, I believe in love. So I'm all for love. And he telling me, no, you got to accept Jesus as your Lord and Christ and personal savior in order to get to the kingdom of heaven. And I'm like, bro, if I was a crackhead, my mama still love me. If I got religion wrong, God, power, and love is stronger than my mom. So he will still accept me. And what you're doing right now is just not right. We went back and forth for like 10 to 15 minutes. And then finally, He realized he wasn't going to be able to bully me to the front. I sat back down and he spent the rest of that sermon preaching at me indirectly, trying to shame me through the crowds. Like, we got some sinners in the building. We going to save a soul that don't think they're going to be saved today. I'm just,
the Bible speaks on false prophets. There's going to be false prophets. There's going to be that will infiltrate, and people will follow them. What he was doing in every way, shape, and form is unacceptable. But again, there's false prophets out there, and there's a lot of them, especially now. I think also I understand your approach to trying to learn the Bible and other religions to decipher it, but to go into it with the mentality of I want to pick this apart to say how wrong it is.
Well, I was trying to prove it right, and then I realized it was no proving it right. So then I moved to the people that was telling me that they know for a fact, proving them to be liars. Because there's no way that you could tell me something for a fact that you just believe. So, and then from there, I start, like I said, I'm on the journey right now. So I can't affirmatively sit here and gangbang with nobody because I'm still learning about my relationship with God. I know I've always been in tune with God, you know, and I'm just trying to put the pieces together. I know I've always been connected to a source though. Like I just, under the denomination of a religion, Christianity or Islam or whatever, I can't gangbang with nobody because I don't got enough. I can't. I have to be able to recite the Quran from forward to backwards, and the Bible both ways for me to argue it at this point in life because I understand there's things that's out of my reach, and I may not have the full capacity to understand everything. So I'm just working through that. So people that religious gangbang, I understand where it comes from when you truly believe something. Because I was religious gangbanging to say that they were wrong. But observing me know something that I can't prove to somebody that I'm experiencing in the red pill space helped me get closer to God in a way. It's crazy how things work.
The beauty of it is that you don't have to prove it to anyone else. As long as you know it, then that's all that matters.
I was just about to say that. I was about to say, you know what, Marcus? As long as you feel and know that connection, there's nothing wrong with that.
That's what all of the scriptures teach.
Yeah.
You know, I'm believe me, I'm familiar. I just don't want to go into long detail. That story was too long as far as I'm concerned. And there's so many parts I left out there to be like, damn, that happened. That's crazy. Damn, that happened. That's crazy. But it's been a journey. It's been a journey. I will say it was an incident that that recently happened in the space where a young man's daughter was talking about she was dissatisfied with the fact that she was a young Black woman. And I found myself actually praying for her. And that's not that I ever would, you know what I'm saying? But there's nothing else I could do. I'm not in that person's life. I don't know his child. Only thing I could do is send her positive affirmations and love and hope God or somebody comes to help and rescue that young lady.
Go ahead, Shan.
I just wanted to bring some positivity to this conversation because I attend a very great church. And I actually feel good when I go to church. It just makes it's just something about it that makes, puts a smile on my face. It jump starts my week. And maybe it's just because I go to a great church. I don't just, there are tons of bad churches, right? And I've been to them, but it didn't stop me from trying to find the right church for me. And at this point, I found the right church for me. My pastor, listen, this man is the most God. He is that guy, right? Like when I say God, I mean, he tries to live right. Like he really puts his all into it. He's available for prayer every day of the week. He's there if you need him. He's just dedicated his life to it, and you can just tell, and he loves it. You know, it's his passion. And so I'm glad that I found that church. And I'm just, because I feel bad because you guys have all these experiences. I can say this: don't go to mega churches. People have this obsession with going to, because so many people are in the congregation. You know, most of those people are telling you what you want to hear. They're motivated. They ain't even talking about the Bible. Like sometimes they talking about money and, you know, yeah. That's probably the problem right there. I go to a little small. He ain't never put his hand and push me back, so I haven't been traumatized by you, Bruiser. You know, now I've seen him put his hand on people and he'll say, "Pray for this person," but I've never seen the jerk back or anything of that nature. So I just wanted to say, you know, there are good churches out there. There are good pastors out there. Please remember, pastors are human. Nobody is perfect, period, right? We got to stop making people perfect, right? Just because they're good at what they do and they are human and they have sin, they sin as well. But we don't want one that's always sinning. You know what I'm saying? You know, we want one that's trying to do right. But I just wanted to say that there are some good, like, don't just throw it all away. Just find one that works for you. And if maybe you don't like church, you maybe read the Bible. If you're going to do it that route, think, you know, go for it.
I feel like Nelson been holding in something that he want to say this entire conversation.
Nah, not really. It's a touchy subject. It's really difficult, and I think just for me, you know, where I'm at with my walking with God is when you hear people talk about things that don't align with what you believe and some of the things that you know to be true, it to a certain extent it breaks your heart because you worry for that person's soul. Like I'm talking about for the people that actually pray and actually try to live their life according to how the Bible tells you to live your life and what God expects of us if we are to call ourselves Christians. I know not everybody calls themselves that. So it's, you know, it's hard hearing that we got exposed to these churches that got so deep into these rituals and hit you on your forehead and expecting you to fall out or speaking in other tongues and not understanding what it is, how to interpret it, what it really means. There's so much stuff that is taking away from the real message of the gospel, and that it all points to Jesus and it all points to him taking, like, the thought that there would be somebody that loved us enough to die for all the crap that we did, past, present, and future, because we all deserve the same fate. So the thought that there was a God that loved us that much that would do that, and the only thing that he required from us was to believe in him, is, you know, like, there's no greater love than that, in my opinion.
You don't ever like struggle with wondering why did somebody have to die?
Yeah. Especially when you read the Bible and you learn and you hear about like all the different, why does it always have to be blood sacrifices? Why what was the meaning of blood? And I don't know why, you know, God ordered the world that, you know, the life is in the blood, but is, you know, I just had to trust in, like, he knows things on a completely different level than I could ever know or even imagine. So, you know,
I'm sorry, no,
go ahead.
So one of the things that like I used to argue with my aunt, I was like, if I take the body of Jesus into me, if I eat the cracker and I drink the blood, ain't that like a zombie? This almost seemed like the ritual itself seemed kind of, and this is not, I'm not saying no shots at Christianity. I'm asking some of the real stuff. it
If
seemed
you
extremely
pagan,
paganistic. And then I asked my grandfather one day, I'm like, you know how many of our ancestors was born in slavery and died in slavery that expected to be saved before they died? Why we got to have our heaven in heaven while the person is doing this to us, that's forcing this on us, got heaven on earth? Like certain things like that just plagued me. You know, they would eat away at me.
Yeah,
And
I
I
think
was
that's
like,
what we.
You really think they got heaven on earth? It really ain't all that green on the other side.
at one point it was greener than what we had.
Well, so it's all the symbolism. In taking in the body of Christ and His blood is simply a ritual, right? Um, every single thing that we do or that has meaning and power is a ritual. When you pray, that's a ritual. Um, conduct however it is that you conduct yourself,
Yeah,
whatever it is that you believe in, it has power in it. It has as much power in it that you give it.
that's fair. And I understand the concept of the symbolism and what it's supposed to mean. But I'm saying when you step outside of, because so a lot of us receive religion before the age of reason, before we're able to actually ask critical thinking questions. And I questioned that too. Like, why would you implant an idea in me before I can think rationally? Because if it was legit like that, wouldn't you present the idea when I could think rationally and there's no way around it? I used to have so many
But
questions.
that's
But
why
that's
they
that's
have
part
a.
of your values and things because they like everything that your parents give you. Like they teach you right from wrong, everything else, right? And it's all based on the Bible. Everything that you've learned as a child, they're not going to say, all right, well, I'm not going to tell him that stealing is bad. I'm just going to wait till he realizes what right and wrong is. It's part of the parents' value system. So they would instill that into you. So that's the only way you know. And if you really believe in that faith, then you wouldn't give your children a choice at all to believing anything else.
Yeah,
My question
then my mother, who
is
is
is there anything in the Bible you disagree with that it's telling you to do?
There's a so I think the confusion comes in from the interpretations that people spread. You when you read the Bible in different parables, how it is that you take it personally, I believe, is what the message is. You could, I don't know if anyone else has done this, but you can read something and ingest it one way, and then 5 years later, read the same exact thing and be like, "Damn, I ain't even noticed that. I ain't even think about that." However it is that your the concept that you gather from it, I feel is what that person should strive for, much rather than uh, allowing for the pastor to tell you his interpretation of it. I think that that's where it can become dangerous. There, one of the things for me, because I grew up Christian, I grew up Kojic, and one of the things for me that always got me was that they was like, you you have to strive to be like Jesus, but you can never be like Jesus. It was like, wait, what? That's contradictory as hell. That don't even make sense. But when I understand the concept, but at the same time, I feel like that religion itself kind of puts you in a box to where, depending on your mindset, it'll either allow for you to stay like this, or it'll open you up to be, what I'm saying, what it is that we're supposed to be. So I think that all comes with that spiritual journey that you have in questioning, what I'm saying, what's there, so that you can gather a better understanding of it.
Go ahead, Cookie.
I'm I'm a highly sensitive being, and I think my biggest it's not even an issue because I don't have an issue with anything anybody does, but um the historical content, when I mean it's fine. It's kind of like we're referencing the Bible as if it's the real one, and it's like the Amanda Seales version of the Bible right now. Like, if that makes sense, so we can connect it and bring that right back around to the opening topic. So for me, it's like I take it for a grain of salt and try to make as high of a connection spiritually, physically with my body, with God as I can. Like he said in the video, he said that God is bigger than your religion. He's bigger than all of this. And it's like trying to fly a 747 plane and survive, and somebody rewrote the directions manual 100 times over for me. So it doesn't, for me, make sense to live my life with the book that I know for a fact has been manipulated. First of all, for colonizers, and second of all, for control and money. So, what I could say to anybody that is seeking spirituality or Christianity, do you? I'm gonna do me, and just make sure whatever it is that you're trying to get from what you're reading, you try to get it from the original source. Because if you, all these new versions, King James, Old Testament, if the Bible's missing like 53 books from, and all the black people got taken out. It's too much for me to even go into, but um it's definitely a colonizer book. And I choose to just connect with God on a spiritual level. And that's my TED talk.
All right. Go ahead, Ruth.
We're in what we call the last days. A couple years ago, it's Christian people. I mean, yeah, they would call us crazy for talking about, oh, things are not going to get bad. Things are great. But now you're starting to see things that was in the Bible. Like, we're not surprised any of this stuff happened. Because it's in the Bible. So when you're studying it, that's what you realize. I learned a long time ago that religion and relationship is totally different. Religion is a bunch of rules. So when you hear about the 10 Commandments, God already knew that you couldn't follow all of them. It's like impossible to follow them for the rest of your life, because like Shan said, like, everybody's lying. So thou shalt not lie. We all break that. But God is the reason why they got those rules is because they didn't want to have a real relationship with God. So it's very important that you have a relationship with him. And the deeper you go, the more you have discernment of what's real and what's not. So Marcus is on a great journey because God will reveal to you exactly who he is. If you ask him, if you're open, if you're closed minded and you're like, nah, it's not for me, then you're not going to really know how deep you could have went with it. But if you're open minded and you're like, you know what, let me give it a chance. Let me really take this seriously. Then you're going to start seeing things. So people will be like, well, why do you go to church, or why you do this, or why you participate? The deeper I got into, I used to be somebody that stayed in the back, like just sit in the back of the church, but I got more involved. I volunteer. And what I realized is the more that I do that, the more God opened doors in my life. So it's not, some people will go, they listen, they never open their Bible, they never learn anything. They would be the one to flip you off in a parking lot. And some people really try to understand what the preacher is saying, especially if you have a good one that really is trying to follow the word. And you will start to see when I went to my church, my bishop said everything that I went through that week. She said week after week after week. And so everybody felt that way that was listening. And I'm like, well, that's only the Holy Spirit that could have something said generally, but it hits everybody totally different. So those are the kind of experiences that you have when you're in the church. So it's not like we're just believing some fake stuff. It's like it happens for real. And it's not when you keep writing it off as a coincidence, like God will do certain things. Like just this week, the last 48 hours, God made me say something. I had to open my mouth, say what I was going through. And then he opened up this door, that door, that door. But if I didn't open my mouth, then the person wouldn't have heard the testimony. So I don't really tell my business, but the people closest to me, they really be like, yo, a lot of good stuff always happening to you. Or, one day it looked real bad. And then the next day it looked it totally different at 180. So that's the kind of things that we experience as Christians. That's why we continue to do what we do.
God
Although
will do that with or without the Bible or with or without a church if you
I'll,
really connect it.
Cookie, although I do agree with you, I did my own research and history on King James. I read demonology. I looked into the history of why um, he adapted the Bible, which essentially he really only did it just to pacify um, his kingdom because there was an uprising.
Divorce.
It was to pacify the kingdom so that they wouldn't rise up against them essentially. That's really why he embraced it. um but I will say when you do read the Bible, there are rules and laws in there that are that's real. They're universal laws that's in there. It's not we can't dismiss these scriptures as being that is just some hokey dokey hocus pocus, you know what I'm
I
saying, type
can.
of
And let me
deal.
tell you why, because
Let me
God is in
finish. Let me
us.
finish. Let me finish. Because there again is a lot of truth in it. In the Bible, it says all you need is the faith of the size of a mustard seed. That's 100% true. If your thought process of what you do in life all matters of what it is that your outcome is going to be. So if that one scripture deems itself to be true, it's not coincidence because anybody can do it. That we have to acknowledge that there is truth in it to some extent. It's just all about again how you interpret it.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. What all I was saying was for anyone out there, remember, because we're talking to other people. I personally don't talk about my religion or whatever, my spirituality a lot on the internet, and this is why. My faith is huge. I just don't read the Bible and I don't go to church. That's not my issue. If my faith is bigger than a mustard seed, I promise you it is. That ain't my issue. My issue is with the problems with the Bible became before King James. So if you're choosing to connect with the higher source, with God, the story of Jesus has been told several times over. It is not the first time that Jesus' story has been told in the Bible. That's just what they called him in the Bible. Um, the dying for our sins, it's all been said before. And when you really, really dive deep into historical primary resources, and you should notice uh Viz, you know what I'm saying is true, that it is definitely been reran. So all I'm saying is if you are a believer, you are. If you aren't, you aren't. But the gang banging amongst certain religions is stupid because at the end of the day, we are all on the same quest.
Yeah. No,
That's
I agree. I agree.
yeah.
I'm just saying that there is some we can't just write off these
We
scriptures.
can't write off, but the Bible, I mean,
So
the Bible was stolen from the emerald tablets when the emerald tablets was stolen from something else. Like it's just all the same stuff. That's all I'm saying.
it's stuff within the Bible, the Quran, and most Abrahamic religions that it just makes sense for life, right? Like I understand the purpose of you have God, the husband, the wife, and the children, and that divine order is how families work. It's how relations. If you remove yourself from an Abrahamic religion, faith-based system, and you operate as a family just within it has to operate in that same order for it to function perfectly. It's something with the emotional and the logical aspects of men and women that only correspond in that correct order for that family to function correctly. Um, the servant leadership aspect. Um, Well, even when you look at like the human body, it's such an intelligent design. It's almost impossible for it to exist without someone putting their hand on the wheel to create each aspect of it, like just to keep ourselves together. Like the difference, I think, from us just floating and existing is microscopic. But not only is it that, like I don't know if y'all familiar with the intelligent design theory, where they say a Rolex won't just appear out of nowhere. It's gonna require a builder eventually for all the intricate pieces that have to go into it, no matter how long you clash around space. So it's a lot within the books that you can't disprove. The hardest part to prove is what's guaranteed to be the correct answer as far as under the religious practices. But I can't not believe God exists with all the things that they all point to. There is a creator. It all points to it when you dissect it and get down to it. It all points to that. Yeah.
Trev, you trying to say something?
No, I said I was just going to agree with that. I mean, when you look at the way things are set up, it's like, yeah, there had to have been a hand on this, because when you're just looking at the intricacies, just the ecosystem, just the way that the world operates, it didn't just like, you can't just really say, oh, this was the Big Bang Theory and shit just started happening and male and female just so happens to work in the design and everything. Nah, man, this is perfectly constructed. The balance is just too great. So you have to believe that there's absolutely a higher power when you look at just the intricacies and how developed it is. Like when you think about it, nothing that we could ever create, as advanced as our technologies are, can rival the human body and how male and female coincide. Like that's just something that's I don't know. You'd have a tough time arguing me about that shit. So yeah, I completely agree with that sentiment, man.
All right. We'll go ahead and wrap it up, man. I know it's getting late. We're at the top of the hour. I just want to thank everybody that's tuned in tonight. Make sure you hit that like button on your way out. If you're just tuning in, you missed a good one, so go back and catch it on the replay. Let's make sure we support everybody on the panel as well. Check out the Instagrams and the YouTubes. And let's make sure that we support each other. I just want to say thank you to the panel for your perspectives tonight and your expertise in your particular fields. Okay, Shane, I see you. Said it.
And they got comfortable.
Yeah, did she?
I gotta be up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Well, 5.
Okay. Appreciate you, Shan Monet. All right, family, man, we out.